songs that played last night. I was just like, oh my God. And I went with my oldest last night. There was some real cool stuff. I actually shared some moments with him. That was awesome. I went with a partner of mine, Marquito. It was just a grand time. It was.
Partner?
Partner, you know what I'm saying? I went with a partner of mine.
What was the best set?
The best set? Okay, let me be real with you. All of it was.
Really?
It was all of it was. Again, I'm not gonna bury the lead with Bert and just disclose too much, but I'll say this: I got one warning, Bert, because I got to go tonight too. As I'm taking my youngest. You ready for this?
Let's hear it.
If I look down at the floor or beside me in a suite or right next to me in a doggone wherever I'm sitting at, and I spot this handsome, long hair flowing man that is beating women off of him. Get off me! Get off me! Okay, get off me! Okay, if I see this man, okay, that's correcting his smile and just handsome as he can be.
Oh, and his shoes, the famous.
If he have on his Crocs, if he got on this nice graphic sweatshirt that he's probably gonna wear, real trendy, and I see him. Okay, hands on your knees. If I see him singing Rich Baby Daddy and twerking, I'm going to lose my mind. I'm going to go directly to our boss and say, get him out of here.
I just wouldn't look in the upper decks then. Do not be scanning.
He's
Because I'm hanging out up there like Sting, baby.
If you want to hear a loud, blaring song, Sexy Red with Drake and SZA singing Rich Baby Daddy is by far one of the worst, most catchiest. You don't want to. We can't play it on these airwaves. Bert, can we play them on this airwaves?
We can play it. I'll go back with it.
Oh, here we go. Getting the party started early.
I didn't even know it was a clean version of this song.
Bert's like, I gotcha.
If I saw a lot of dudes last night with hands on the knees and singing Rich Baby Daddy last night. That's all I'm telling.
Hands on
Will.
That's fine.
No. You
good.
You doing yourself a favor.
That's great.
Okay? You are perfectly fine. I wish I hadn't heard it, but it's so catchy. It's hands on your knees. Oh my gosh!
Now it's stuck in your head all day.
It is.
Are you guys set list people? Do you want to know the set list before you go to a
No, I
concert?
don't. Nope.
I definitely don't.
And
either.
I had a friend one time that got a hold of the set list because she's in music. I was like, get that away from me.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can find them anywhere online now.
For
You
real?
just Google it. Yeah.
I want to be surprised. That was a random growl right there for no reason. Wasn't it?
Like a Rottweiler.
It's like, yeah. By the way, he was sleeping in the laundry room this morning.
Was
I
Zeus?
think. Look,
He likes
we
the
came
warmth?
home last night. I got home after 12, well after 12, because the set was so long. And I don't know if he was waiting. I want to believe my dog was waiting up for me.
Probably.
And he was in the laundry room.
I think he was pretty upset, though.
Why is that?
Well, okay, so Zeus had an expectation because Robert's already shaking his
I know.
head.
I'm like, where's this going?
It's called For All the Dogs. And so Zeus thought he was going to be able to go. So he's like, wait, you finally have a concert that's for all the dogs, and then I'm not able to even go to it.
I should have walked him in there. Most people won't ask you, is this a service
Hold him up.
animal?
Hey, is this for all the dogs?
Yeah.
Hey, brought mine. Where do we need to take him?
Dogs.
She got him. I feel like you could have got him a pass. Like, he's a a help dog? He's my help
service
dog.
dog.
Service dog. Yeah.
I got the vest at home.
There you
And the thing about that is you never have to prove that they are a service dog.
Right.
You're not required by law to carry those papers with you. So you could have this is my emotional support hamster.
that.
This is my emotional support cat. You could bring your animals wherever you want to.
You can.
Just buy the vest and take it.
On an airplane, I think it's only they can ask you one question. I think,
Yes,
if
for
I'm
a
not
plane
mistaken,
trip.
and from that, you can take a pit bull, you can take a Great Dane on the plane if you want.
Perfect.
This is my emotional support cow, Betsy. I bring her with me everywhere I go. She is my heifer.
My horse.
A Great Dane on a plane sounds like a Dr. Seuss book.
Yeah. I'd read it.
Didn't somebody bring like a turkey or a baby sheep or something like that on the plane? Somebody's
I
done
didn't
that.
see
Now we have
that.
ventured into these corners of the internet that only you read on this radio program, that the
Yeah.
rest of us do not get.
A
our
baby
regular
goat
lives.
would get stinky.
I know, and they just poop at random too.
Yeah.
So yeah, we'll leave that alone.
A turkey was allowed on a seat on a plane because it was a service animal. Many airline passengers were cringing as the turkey was gobbling.
No.
Will's got his one eye open right now.
That's
I
bad.
don't see any scenario of that.
I don't know how this stuff finds me, but it does. So I'm sorry.
I have
You're
a
a
story
magnet.
that's very similar for my You're Not That Guy today.
Oh.
It's a good tease. 8 o'clock for You're Not That Guy this morning.
We all went, because of birthday his teases. But the concert was phenomenal, though.
Sounds like it.
I had a grand old time.
Bert, what is the number one song you are most looking forward to hearing tonight?
Oh, that is so
If you're going to skate to one song and one song only.
Because I would, if I had to hear one Drake song, it would probably be Over. But like I like
Great pick.
I like some of the. I like the sappier songs. I like the deeper songs. I like Sandra's Rose. I like
He don't play that.
yeah. That's not what this is for. This is for the people. This is to get the people up. Honestly,
The
he could play
masses.
whatever. He could play Old MacDonald Had a Farm, and I would be in there.
Play some jazz.
I'm serious. Bring out a
Bring out
Yaz
Kenny
flute,
G.
Bring out a saxophone. Any of that would be cool with me. He could literally be up there doing handstands as long as he doesn't spin too quick.
Can he go hands on your knee?
I'm cool with that too, man. I'm cool with all of it. Bring Sexy Red out. Bring all of them out.
She just had her baby, too.
Bring the baby out. It's a service
Sure.
baby.
A woman named Sexy Red is allowed to reproduce.
Yes. Well, trust me.
Not everyone needs children.
You're saying the same thing that I say.
And they're
man.
lying like hell too, by the way, because she is not pretty.
She's not sexy.
God,
615-737-1045 is
Could've been
our
Nasty
number.
Red or
Coming up this morning,
Popular as hell, though.
Coach
Great
Dave
service,
McGinnis joins us at 7:20. You're Not That Guy at 8. And if you ruin the set list for Robert Walsh of Drake tonight, you are certainly not that guy. Jim Nagy of the Senior Bowl joins us at 8:20. The Thursday 3, each of our Super Bowl parlays at 9:20 this morning. But when we come back, busy night in SEC hoops. Tennessee picks up an easy home win, and Auburn boat races Alabama in the Iron Bowl of basketball. Meanwhile, once again reminding me why I don't watch Auburn basketball. Next. RKW is brewed by 8th and Roast on
There it is.
104.5 The Zone. This was Ramon Foster. Just listen to this last night.
Right?
If
Can
you were
you do
at
the
the
dance?
concert last night and you're up early, Ramon's right there with you. Or if you are beginning a day where you're going to see Drake at Bridgestone Arena, then you can just get prepared by listening to this show this morning.
You could. It's a good. If y'all ain't got tickets, you might want to get them.
How many people did you see last night with the phones up and like the lights
It
on?
was a
like,
lot.
Recording everything.
Keisha asked me last night, my wife, like, "Did you and RJ take a father that?" I'm like, "Nah, I ain't take one." We both enjoyed it. Like,
You just good.
I took
Good
a
for
couple
you.
visuals and
Good for
stuff
you.
like that, but I'm making it a point at events, and I rarely go back and look at content on my phone.
Mm-hmm.
I rarely go back, so I'm like, why am I recording? Like, if I don't go back and look at it, let me be like, I legitimately
In the
was
moment.
in the moment,
Yep.
and that ain't no knock on nobody, none of that.
No,
type of
but I
stuff.
kind of appreciate that.
Yeah.
I go back and look at stuff on my phone all the time. So I like going. No, I'm serious.
You
Like
do?
I literally will like sit there. Like I've already looked at my videos from the Emirates Sunday for the Arsenal game. Like I've looked back at those videos like at least 10 times. And I was
Reliving
there
it.
like this weekend. Like it, yeah.
And I don't know. I think it's. I truly do think this is gonna sound crazy. I truly do think it's a childhood thing. Like we didn't take.
Yeah.
I didn't take a whole lot of pictures growing up. Like we just didn't. Like there was a lot of photo albums. I just don't remember doing it. And my phone is just like, oh, I got them. You know,
Mm-hmm.
like it's weird. I don't. But my wife always look at this picture. I'm like, girl, that's like
It's girls love. I mean,
13. You do the
I
same thing.
enjoy not
That's-
with events. I don't do
Yeah.
events, but when I'm on vacation with family or friends,
Yeah.
I'll take a lot of pictures, but not a lot of videos.
Yeah, or just both of them.
Yeah.
So, but no, I put the phone up last night. I did.
Well, Tennessee over the weekend beat Drake's college basketball team.
Mm-hmm.
Bro thinks he's on the team. Last night they beat LSU 88-68, and say what, that offense looks 100% more confident right now than it did in the loss to South Carolina. Tennessee jumped out to a 10-0 lead, led by 23 points at halftime, 27 points, 6 boards from Dalton Connect, 17 from Zakai Ziegler, 18 from Jordan Gainey off the bench. Really like where this team is right now.
I do too, and you seeing that pop up, like Jordan Gainey being more involved in it. Well, I'm talking about, I'm at a basketball game and also watching this on my phone last night too, and I'm just like, golly, like they jumped out 10-0, took a timeout, then come right back out, and was it Jordan that hit a three right after that timeout?
think
LSU
so, yeah.
went
Yep.
13-2 or something like that, or 13-1 if I'm not mistaken, because they missed a free throw. What a start of the game! Like I was at a. I'm talking so fast right now because I'm still geek. Let me. Breathe,
Deep breath.
Ramon. Okay,
Capital J journalist recognizing it.
but this game was so good and fascinating to watch last night. Number one, and I thought they were gonna have a little bit of the North Carolina hangover.
Yeah.
North Carolina smacked Duke
point.
right on Saturday and end up losing to Clemson. We didn't talk enough about that because I was hype about them losing. Not that we have to talk
Clemson's second ever win at UNC in school history.
over 60+ years,
Mm-hmm.
and they've only.
They didn't have a top 10 win in like since the 70s. Like on the like it was crazy. Some stat like
Crazy.
wild.
Yeah, and that's why I was going to ask Savage that too about, will you expect Tennessee to have a hangover or something like that? And to see them jump out the way they did, as aggressive as they were, and Ron's brought that up numerous times, like when you play an aggressive style of defense, and they did last night. Zakai, and you can tell he's been warned too, because when you watch him play defense now, he reach and throw his hands up. Because you can tell people have been telling, hey, he may be small, but he's punching the heck out of us, and he's been getting away with it. But as Savage says, whenever the whole team is doing it, then you can't call it every single time, and they've adopted that so well. And of course, this is me being a fan of the Vols and stuff, but like just watching them do work and look this good down the stretch is, to your point, the offense has been a surprise. It's been good. And I mean, just everybody pulling their own is something to be said about that.
Yeah, because we've always in the past, like we've always known Rick Barnes in terms of his defensive strategy, right?
Yeah.
But it's just having a consistent offense and maybe having a little bit of a next level offense. It hasn't been the case necessarily for a Rick Barnes team.
Yeah.
And you look at this team, and that I hope you look back at that game against Kentucky and really how they embraced the loss to South Carolina. They took it on the road. They punched them in the mouth. Then you look at this situation where you could have had the hangover. That is so easy to do. That is not like a fake thing in any sport.
Right.
And we're able to take care of business against LSU, continuing to get help from everyone. And this was a little different. Like you guys mentioned, Gainey off the bench with 18. But Zakai Ziegler able to still do his thing, right?
Yeah.
Dalton Connect back in the groove. He had 27 points. Adu, like you go down the line and it's people continuing to contribute as a whole and shooting 55% plus from the field.
Yeah.
Like that is a potent offense right there. And you mentioned the getting off to a fast start. It's the same thing they did against Kentucky.
Yep.
You punch them in the mouth, and it's really tough on a night where things are clicking to get back in the groove if you're on the opposite side.
Yep. The MVP for me, though, well, I would say this mid-season MVP, probably with a slight edge. Other than Dalton Connect, that's easy. But Jonas Adu.
Has to be.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
His rim presence
You were talking about that the other day.
is high.
And in the loss to South Carolina, that was the game where he didn't contribute. And against Mississippi State, the other SEC loss, he's in foul trouble on the road and can't contribute.
And when Toby has to come in and play a bigger role, Awaka, when he has to come in and play a bigger role, that's when you see some deficiencies show up.
Can't stay out of foul trouble.
He cannot stay out of foul trouble in those moments. So watching him be a rim protector, not just that, the dime that Zakai threw to him and just basically ran back down the court, I was just like, oh, they in their bag now. But it was good. They're finding different ways to score. Other guys are stepping up and playing better roles for them. But I guess, and I was listening to Bob Kessel and them a little bit last night after the fact, and they were speaking on the fact, the offensive rebounds and stuff like that LSU got. Those second chance opportunities got to be minimized. But, of course, it was some sloppy play in the second half. When you're up that high going into the second half, there's certain stuff you let go of the wheel with and stuff like that. But all in all, they swarmed them. LSU rallied back, and they still won by 20 in the end.
Exactly.
So, Zakai Ziegler leading the SEC in assists right now as well, and 5.5 assists per game. He was terrific. Started 3 for 3 from the three-point line, had 11 points in the first half, where Tennessee led 50-27 and shot 9 of 14 from the three-point line. It remains to be seen whether or not the South Carolina loss was maybe a sign of the way the season will end and the way things will look at that point, because losses in the regular season are either like, okay, this is your path to defeat, or hey, you're going to learn from this, you're going to become something a little bit different, and that can be a one-off. I'm just excited to see what this team does over the last 4 games, because their last 4 games of the season, like Mike Wilson told us the other day, at South Carolina, at Alabama, home against Auburn, and home against Kentucky. Dane Bradshaw last night on the A&M Missouri broadcast with Tom Hart said he thinks 14-4 wins the SEC. Said there may be a team up there with you. I mean, we might have co-champions this year, which I think is likely. But right now, Tennessee can afford 2 losses. And they'll probably be favored in, I would imagine maybe all those games except one at South Carolina. I don't know if they'll be favored at Alabama, though. They essentially have to win either at Alabama or at South Carolina to feel like they've got a good shot at being the SEC champion when it's all said and done.
As a hopeful fan, and I can say this, I'll say this, I hope the South Carolina game was more of an eye-opener how they got to set the tone. I think them playing against Kentucky the way they did was because of South Carolina. I think them backing it up against LSU last night was because of South Carolina. South Carolina has a way of small balling you and out physical, playing more physical than you at times. I feel like since then, and you let me know if you guys have seen anything different. Since then, I feel like we've seen them actually set the tone and go at guys a little bit more. I also think that's why that they're probably begging Toby Awaka to be an enforcer. Like, bro, we're not asking you to score 12 to 15 a game. We just need you in games like South Carolina and games like the earlier part of the season with North Carolina. Be a guy that's going to set the tone against them and then let us cook after the fact. If you can get them off their rocker and off their point as far as attitude, because I thought South Carolina out-attituded us. They shot better than we did that game, and they played a little bit more physical with us. So if you have that type of mindset with that type of dude, I say there's nothing that they can't do what Toby is being asked to do.
Yeah, they definitely had come into their house and said, hey, we don't care if you guys are that good at home. Like, we're going to take over. And I think Tennessee was humbled by that experience a little bit by the Gamecocks and, did the same thing with Kentucky when they went on the road. Like, we can win on your home court, just as much as anybody else or just as much as you do. So I think that was a big learning moment from them. I'm looking at South Carolina's schedule too. Definitely for them down the stretch, a much easier schedule. Like I think the only top 20 team they have, 25 team they have, actually is Auburn. Yeah. So they have
Tennessee
Auburn.
too.
Yeah, in Tennessee.
And Tennessee. Okay. So, so you've got two of those. And what you guys got? Alabama, Auburn, and South Carolina, right?
And Kentucky.
And Kentucky, that's right.
I would even throw A&M in there too.
Yeah, going to A&M this weekend is
true.
not an easy trip.
Yeah.
They've had some weird results this year, but that is a difficult place to play.
It is. I saw them get toxic against, I think, was it Texas? A&M and Texas A&M.
Yes.
I watched a little bit of that game. That they get wild down there, man.
Oh, yeah.
They get wild down there. So A&M is one to keep your eye on this weekend for sure also. But a 20-point game and Gainey hitting that 3 at the end was just like he had
dagger.
to shoot it. Yeah, he had to shoot it. But big time SEC dub last night for the Vols.
Is Tennessee the best team of the SEC right now?
I think so.
In the SEC. Before I give a quick answer, because you Vol Homer. Yeah.
You got a 4-way tie at the top between, Tennessee's technically a half game back because they've already had their bye week. But you have Alabama, South Carolina, Auburn, and Tennessee tied in the top 4 spots. And then Kentucky a game and a half back at Tennessee.
I'm going to go Tennessee, Auburn.
Yep, me too.
Tennessee, Auburn. And I ain't out on Kentucky. They was without DJ Wagner. I know that played a part in it
Still
too.
play defense.
Yeah, yeah, I know.
You can't ever put them out of your top 5, right? In
Nah.
terms of the SEC.
And I respect Coach Pearl
Yeah.
a lot.
I love
Bruce
Coach
Pearl.
Pearl. Did you hear his speech before the Alabama game?
Did not.
It was great.
It was awesome.
It's like they're not like the one thing you want to do when you end today, beat Alabama.
Beat Alabama.
The one thing.
Yeah, I got Vols. I got Auburn. Is how I'm somewhat stacking. I don't know what South Carolina is. I truly don't.
I'm a little still 100% not in.
I'm all in on South Carolina.
Really?
I am.
The way they defend,
The way they defend.
absolutely.
I just don't know if they can hold it together at the end, make the push when they need to. That's the only thing I'm skeptical
It's
of.
going to be hard for Tennessee to go to Columbia
It is.
and win there. The home environment, what Lamont Paris has built in a short amount of time, they have built something very special, the former Chattanooga coach, in just a couple of years. What I don't like, though, is watching Auburn basketball games because I would like to give a public reprimand to the girl who screams bloody murder next to the crowd mic at Auburn basketball games. Genuinely, I will choose to watch something else. I don't know if this lady is related to the Vanderbilt Whistler. Maybe that's a granddaughter situation. Maybe they've mentored one another, like a small group kind of thing. But it's almost as bad as the Vandy Whistler. And you know how much I hate the Vanderbilt Whistler. God, we're nearing up on that time of year again, aren't we?
You
Yes,
do.
we are. Got the game next week, baby.
It is. You do say that there's a lot of Auburn connections here, so it might be a
I
granddaughter.
mean, Auburn is probably the second biggest fan base in Nashville in the SEC behind Tennessee
It is.
fans. So, I don't know. Maybe there's a connection there. And look, I know a lot of Auburn football fans that are Vanderbilt baseball fans.
Yeah.
So,
Not my husband.
Yeah.
That scream, though, is way worse than the whistle.
Oh,
and maybe it's because I've been
well.
covering Vandy games for years now, and the whistle just goes past me. But the
Lucky.
screams in a basketball game, when you're trying to, and again, I caught a little of that game as well.
Here it is.
Dude, it's Ron Slay. When he did the game last year, that's when it got brought to my attention.
Yeah.
And the lady did not stop the whole entire game, and she's clearly back. I don't know if it's a student, like Will said, or a woman, a grown woman, but that girl has a high-pitched voice. Does she ever lose it?
I gotta go on the break. I'm going to listen to it.
I think she's probably getting her doctorate because she's been there forever. And this was a thing
She
when I
might
was
be.
in school. Like it literally, like, she has been there as long as John Fulkerson was a player at Tennessee. Like, that's how long she's been at Auburn.
Someone should do a story on her and be like,
Oh Lord.
you're really disrupting people's listening.
And the conclusion of it will be sending her to a psychiatric facility.
Zach Blanchett after the back
just
chat
saw
call it she's the screecher.
The Screecher, okay. Vandy has the Whistler and Auburn has the Screecher.
Screecher.
So now she'll
you go.
make a van like the Whistler did that says
Yeah.
the Screecher on it to drive to every game and then say, oh, I'm not making it about me.
I ain't
Can you
even
tell
gonna
I'm
lie.
ready for baseball season? I'm getting warmed up here.
The Screecher is low-key badass. If she pulled up to the game in like a van with one of those sliding glass doors, like an old Astro van, and it just said the Screecher, and when that door strung open, you just heard a shriek. Or the Shrieker.
The Shrieker.
The Shrieker is
The
good, too.
Shrieker sounds pretty cool, too.
Yeah, she should wear all black leather. You know?
I thought this sounded cool, too. This was Ramon doing 2 impressions in less than 5 seconds.
In the SEC. Well, I'll give a quick answer because you vote Homer.
I
Oh, my
was sweating
goodness.
back here looking for it as soon as you said that.
That's good.
I love the Vol.
The SEC. Answer because you vote Homer.
Ramon Foster.
There we go.
You vote Homer.
There's our new intros.
Go ahead and hit me with it. Oh, you used to be better
You used to be better than this, Bert. I was excited to think I was going to see you tonight. I don't even want to see you no more, man.
No more invite to the suite.
None, Kayla. You cannot get free drinks up here,
Right?
okay? SEC.
That one's my favorite.
That sounds like Buck right there,
In
dude.
the
Yes.
SEC.
615-737-1045 if you want to jump in.
Y'all ain't
Oh,
worth the
that's
damn,
good.
man.
That's not even a full nickel
good.
today, man. Ain't worth 2 nickels, man. Oh, me, oh, my.
So who
great.
on the station have we not imitated now? To be fair.
Ryan,
good
can we do
question.
Ryan? We've done Ryan before.
Oh, I ain't touching that one.
I will.
Have you done
I ain't
that?
gonna be there.
I feel like you've done Ron once at least.
A lot of people say we have a lot of the same like dictations and stuff like
Yeah,
that in our talk.
characteristics.
When he has that boy, when he does that one right there,
That's
Will
it.
Lee?
There it is. Boy.
Will Lee? Boy? He does that one. That's my dog right there. He probably still asleep right now.
That's
Is
my
he
dog.
going to from Vegas to Charlotte?
Yeah, he's going from
Wow.
Vegas to Charlotte
Today?
tomorrow. No, tomorrow. I
Tomorrow,
think,
okay,
Tomorrow, yeah.
gotcha.
He got a full day of recovery. Don't feel. No,
Okay, I was gonna feel bad for him. By the way, I saw them
Just
taking
take a
some
shot for
shots
him.
last night.
Who took some shots
You 3HL
of
I don't know what it was.
basketball or like at people
of love.
of love?
Shots of love in
Oh,
Vegas at the
okay,
Cosmopolitan.
Did they?
That was actually in honor of Ramon hearing "Take a Shot for Me" at the Drake concert.
Yes.
So he took you up on that offer.
I did. Yes, I appreciate them doing that. For
Was
me.
that one in there?
I can't.
He doesn't want to give anything
Can't
away.
give it up to Bert. See, you
That
see
was a
my
test and you passed.
I did.
Yes.
Thank
That was a
you.
test and you passed.
There you go, Homer.
That's right.
Who's the lady that called in? You should play that when she calls
I'm
in.
not saying her name. She'll call back and curse me out again. I will not.
That
do
was a
that
fun
one.
day, though.
I know her name.
Saying Bloody Mary when the lights are off in the bathroom.
I used to do
though.
that.
Did you used to do that?
Yeah.
That was the thing in elementary
Candyman.
school, yeah. Absolutely.
Candyman and Bloody Mary.
I'll call me a
Yep.
wuss. I wouldn't
Anyway,
do that.
after Bloody Mary was screamed at the Auburn crowd mic, 99-81, Auburn over Alabama. Alabama's best road win this year is against the number 41 team in the country,
Boo. Boo.
Mississippi State.
Nah.
I think they're a good team with a great home atmosphere, and that's about it.
Yeah.
I got to give it to their coach though.
I like.
Other than the
I like
antics
him.
he have, he's
Like Nate Oates?
He's
I
Joe
do.
Cool. I just like his demeanor at times. I'm gonna be real with you. I ain't a fan of them, but I'm a fan of his demeanor. You know, and it's just how I talk, and we'll be fine.
I like how he dresses. I
That's a
think. I
little
think that's
shrug.
what it is.
Yeah, he does. He said he need to take the jacket.
I don't know
off.
why he still does the
Pits
jacket
out.
because after COVID, no one except Jerry Stackhouse does that. Which I mean, do whatever you want. I don't care. But
Yeah.
Dude, but it gets hot down there. Like when I covered Arizona, Sean Miller would sweat through his whole entire shirt, and he would seriously be drenched at the end of a game. It looked like he got thrown in the pool.
At
That
least
was
with
Bruce in
Stackhouse.
Knoxville.
Was it?
Stackhouse at least got room around
Oh,
him.
man.
Like
Yeah,
he's
he's-
standing away from people.
Right? He airs out the coat sometimes. Like when he gets heat, it's like
I'm a
Gotta air
big
that out.
proponent of basketball coaches need to wear what their players are wearing.
Mm.
I think they should all have to wear the jersey and the shorts.
The
and
headbands.
just imagine how cool that would be, them calling plays on the sideline, getting mad at people, but they got their old-ass pits hanging out. There's
Oh, my
gray
goodness.
hairs from them.
Them flimsy
That'd be
arms.
Right, them just flagging in the wind like your grandma's arms
Saggy
do.
skins.
Yeah, right.
615-737-1045. On Twitter, Ellis says, Ramon sounds like if Walter Cronkite and Sean Connery had a child.
perfect.
That's awesome. I should do cartoon voiceovers.
Great.
Coming up next, NFL headlines from Vegas, where an NFLPA survey overwhelmingly is in support of one NFL initiative that the Titans are going in the opposite direction of. Plus, injury report, the first one of the week for the Niners and Chiefs next.
In the SEC. It is Ramon for Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical, y'all. We are less than a week away from Valentine's Day, okay? It's Valentine's season and love is in the air. I'm here for Hiller right now, though, to tell you this. You can find your perfect match this month with Hiller. Or you can get a free UV light when you purchase a new HVAC system for your home, okay? Or free whole home surge protection when you buy a new whole home generator. Y'all know that's one of those things I brag about. I saw my neighbor with their house lit up the last tornadoes we had. I was like, what they got going on over there? You know what I had to do? I had to inquire from Hiller about a whole home generator, okay? Or in this Valentine's season, you get 50% off of Descaler when you buy a new tankless water heater. You'll be more in love with your home if you reach out to Hiller, and that's just for plumbing, that's for heating, that's for cooling, and electrical. So find your perfect match at happyhiller.com.
RKW is brewed by 8th and Rose on 104.5 The Zone. And coming up in 15 minutes, reports on assistant coaches who are likely to stay in Nashville. 615-737-1045. A couple of names who might be retained by Brian Callahan on his first Titans coaching staff. We'll get to that coming up at 7 o'clock. But guys, an NFLPA survey from Vegas says that 92% of players want grass fields over turf. And it's the 2026 FIFA World Cup that is causing some debate and controversy. Essentially what we have here, as your resident soccer person, is that FIFA and all these stadiums that are hosting World Cup games in 2 years will all bring in grass. Because there is a FIFA rule that you cannot play a men's World Cup game. You can play a women's World Cup game. You cannot play a men's World Cup game. Don't ask me to explain that. Don't have any clue. You can't play a men's World Cup game on turf. The NFLPA is now saying, why can you do that for them and not for us?
Yeah, because you're not a world sport and they're not trying to grow in your area. They're trying to attract more people to these NFL bases and stuff like that, man. And here's the thing about that. I love this type of stuff when it pops out because here's the thing. When we have collective bargaining agreements, negotiations, these same players voting should be those same players in those meetings saying we won't play unless we get grass, unless we get real grass. And that's why it's so funny. There's nothing they can absolutely do right now to change this rule whatsoever because there's no vote. You think Roger Goodell is going to go to those owners and say, hey, y'all, hey, man, look, the player's unhappy. Like, this is my union side coming out for a second to where I am pro-union. I'm for the players. But players have to step up before the middle, literally the middle of a CBA is in action right now. So I get it. I understand it. Ain't a thing they can do about this right now but hope and pray. That's it.
Mm-hmm. I get it, right? I mean, you want to have the best grass in the world. And if it's more so like playing on that is better than turf, then I'm for that. Like, it's your body. You're putting your body on the line every single Sunday, Thursday, every day they play football now here. And it is the most grossing sport in the United States. But unfortunately, like you said, Ramon, the timing of this and the fact that it's been kind of pushed to the back burner, the players have the opportunity to really band together and possibly in the future get something done.
2030.
But you can't just bring it out now. Like, that, just because the World Cup is coming here, like, I get it. It sparks something in your mind, and it probably pisses you off as a player too. But that's a total different, like, sport we're talking about. Like you said, worldwide. It comes here once in a while. But I am with the players. I think that the grass to play on that is so much better for long-term health of these players.
I'm with that. Yeah.
But they've got to be able to do it in a timely manner. And no, you can't just snap your fingers and boom, every stadium has grass.
And that's the thing. So this is going to be a situation where the World Cup comes in and then they leave and they're going to go back out from there. I'm not sure if the World Cup pays. Does FIFA pay for this grass?
Yeah, I would
I'm
imagine
sure.
so.
Yeah.
So that's another conversation. This is not coming out of the NFL wallet when it comes down to them moving and maintaining this grass. MetLife is easy to do. They're outside already. Gillette is already outside. Lumen Field is in Seattle, so that's easy to do. Only questionable ones is Mercedes-Benz and NRG. If I'm not mistaken right now, too, I think NRG used to be grass in Houston. And now they are actually turf. They used to wheel their they used to wheel theirs in. Carolina did.
And their field sucked in the Super Bowl last year.
And they tried to go way too overboard with that. I don't know why they did that.
So I get it. I am pro player on this one. But the NFLPA, like, we missed the mark on a lot of stuff when it comes down to getting stuff for players. And dropping this stuff during the biggest media blitz week of the NFL calendar, the Super Bowl, of course, players would prefer grass. This is one of those initiatives that as a former player now, you need to be able to do this stuff during the CBA negotiations.
Yep.
So the venues cover the cost of changing to grass for the World Cup, which actually doesn't surprise me. And instead of wheeling in grass or turf over grass on trays, they are completely ripping up the turf and putting in grass with a drainage system. And the plan is to grow grass in less than 8 weeks. Reportedly, MetLife Stadium is considering just keeping grass after the World Cup.
That's what I was going to ask. And why wouldn't you?
New York weather is the only thing I would think of.
I mean,
It's hard
honestly,
to
here,
maintain.
I think that turf the Titans had this year was safer than how bad that grass gets at the end of the season.
Yeah.
Because you can make the argument that grass is safer than turf, but anyone who has watched a Titans game in December after the bowl game, going into week 16, 17, 18,
Yeah.
that grass was, at that point, worse than turf, in my opinion.
Yeah.
And Burke Nihill has sat in here and said it with us when they changed it, that what we are switching to, we believe the data backs up, is safer than what we have had based on where we are in the country to do this.
And
More
technology,
consistent.
technology is only going to get better. Like for
seven
that.
NFL stadiums switching to grass for the World Cup.
Okay.
I mean, and they mentioned it in this article and in ESPN.com where the Players Union said, like, we get it. Like, the sports are different, right? Like, the way the ball rolls on grass versus turf is so different that there has to be continuity. That's why in soccer, you cannot have one is a turf field and one's a grass field because the ball is going to roll on the field differently. Like, there's not really as much precedent. Like, football by nature isn't going to have
A ball
that same,
rolling.
rolling quite as much.
Okay.
But it's interesting.
It's interesting. That's always going to be the case.
92% of players, that's a big number,
That is a big,
who want grass.
well, I get frustrated with
I
that type
know.
of stuff.
I know.
Show up to the meeting.
If it was that overwhelming, you should have bargained for it.
And that's free, just
Yeah,
being
right.
real with you.
615-737-1045. Hour 2 up next. There are coaches that Brian Callahan is thinking about retaining, including one specific one on offense who, according to reports, has declined, or the Titans have declined, interview requests elsewhere. Details on that next.
It's Ramon Foster for Genesis Diamonds. And fellas, we're on the clock, man. And I'm not talking about the NFL draft or nothing like that. I'm talking about this Valentine's Day clock, okay? And if you're looking for one of the most thoughtful, most romantic gifts for the one you love this Valentine's, guess what? 2 words for you, Genesis Diamonds. And maybe it's a simple pendant or an exquisite one-of-a-kind designer ring. Genesis can help you pick out the most memorable and special piece of jewelry for the occasion. And to make it even sweeter, now until Valentine's Day, whether you're going to spend $199 or $199,000, Genesis will give you some chocolates, fresh flowers, and a dinner out at no charge. This is a great deal, okay? And it's a one-stop shop for the ultimate Valentine's Day experience. When you buy any piece of beautiful jewelry, they will give you some beautiful flowers from Jenny's Florist, some yummy chocolates, and a gift card for dinner at STK Steakhouse. So stop wasting time. Get to Genesis Diamonds. They've got a spectacular collection of memorable romantic gifts from $199 all the way up to $199,000. And right now, they're going to throw in some chocolates, flowers, and dinner out at no extra charge. Happy Valentine's Day from Genesis Diamonds. They're located in Green Hills and Cool Springs.
What's going on? 701. Good morning. From the 104.5 The Zone Studios, I am Robert Walsh. Chiefs making their final roster moves before the big game, activating wide receiver Sky Moore from injured reserve, placing defensive end Charles Omenihu on injured reserve with a torn ACL. Omenihu was injured in the AFC Championship game against Baltimore. Sky Moore has been out since the Chiefs' 27-17 win over the Patriots in Foxborough. Rarely ever do prospects answer the question, where would you like to be drafted? But Brock Bowers did not buck the question when being interviewed by Chris Sims and Mike Florio.
Well, I know you can't control it, but if you could, where would you want to go?
Whoever wants to take me. I mean, it's hard to say. I'd love to go to.
He wants the Niners to get rid of Kittle, and then he wants to go to the 49ers.
I'd be all right.
Let him say it.
I'd be all right with going to the Tennessee Titans. I mean, I liked it down in the Georgia, Tennessee area.
Yeah,
I thought it was cool, but yeah, that'd be a cool spot to
Yeah,
be.
you hear that, Titans?
Chris Sims almost stole that moment from us. Thank you, Mike Florio, doing something right. And in college hoops, the Vols dominating LSU 88-68. Dalton Knecht finished the game with a game-high 27.7 rebounds and 6 assists. For all your foundation repair and waterproofing needs, visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and the Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
Seven a.m. in Nashville as we roll right along into hour number 2 of your Thursday morning edition. Welcome in. We are RKW, brewed up by 8th and Rose, Ramon, Kayla, and Will. Robert Walsh is making the show happen. Coming up in 15 minutes, Coach Dave McGinnis, the head coach of Titans Radio, explains to us why Rand Carthon and Brian Callahan watched the Senior Bowl from afar and how new assistant coaches will play a role in reshuffling a Titans draft board that is fluid and still up for conversation at this point of the process. We'll do that coming up in 15 minutes. Plus, Jim Nagy, the executive director of the Senior Bowl, stopping by at 8:20 this morning. Good stuff.
I know. He's always good to have on, especially like right after that Senior Bowl, because just the wealth of knowledge he brings. Former scout, by the way. He just gets it.
He does. Scout by trade is how he got into it correctly. And I think Mobile's his home, and he just took that one by the horns and just ran with it. It is a great event. And I don't think people just telling him, hey, this is awesome, just to, be friends with him or cool with him or nothing like that. I think they genuinely enjoy going to it. Mobile is his own little entity. When it comes down to where they are, you're literally at the bottom of the map, though. But it's a good time down there for them to get in and get out and bring a lot of, revenue to that city. And, again, discovered also this weekend, well, I was telling my sons about as far as the amount of Hall of Famers that come out of Mobile.
For baseball.
Yeah,
Thank
big
you.
time, big time.
Thank you.
Kirby learned that, too, when he went on the trip with us last
Thank
year.
you.
Will had to correct Kirby.
I don't know much, but I do know one or two things.
Yes.
Kirby
yes.
would not let it go, and Will said, nah, I'm right.
That's right.
Who are those Hall of Famers? I forget.
Willie Mays, Hank Aaron, Satchel Paige, I believe Billy Williams. The other one?
Ozzie Smith.
Ozzie Smith.
And
yep.
Willie McCorvey.
McCovey.
Yep. Huh? McCovey. Yeah. I said McCorvey like the Vols coach.
So there is a report yesterday from Justin Mello at JustinM_NFL. Says multiple NFL teams have requested interviews with Titans running backs coach / run game coordinator Justin Alton for various roles on their staff, including run game coordinator. The Titans have declined those interview requests per league sources. New head coach Brian Callahan may retain Alton.
Yeah.
Paul Kaharski reported yesterday as well. He says coaches he believes are likely to stay, though roles may be adjusted. Alton, Chris Harris, Lori Locust as the three who he expects to potentially be retained. But Justin Mello with the note that I thought was interesting about the Titans declining interview requests for Alton, which to me tells you pretty confidently that he'll be back.
Yeah, looks like the development with Spears was a good one last year with Alton in his first year as a running backs coach. And that was Tony Deuce has been kind of promoted to tight ends. If you want to call it that, there's a lot of tight end coaches that they'll go on to be offensive coordinators. And that obviously didn't happen, but I think that was Vrabel's kind of intent for him. But Outen, I think, did a good job overall. You have a guy like Derek in there who knows what he's doing. There's not much grooming that needs to take place with that. But I thought he did a good job with Tajay Spears. And Chris Harris was the other one in terms of, what I've heard from players. They really liked Chris Harris. Now, I don't know if the outcome was what we expected with the results, but there's a lot that goes into that last year too, with the availability of some of these guys. But it looks like they like him enough that they could possibly keep him, like Paul Kaharski is reporting. And then Lori Locust, I love it. I kind of hoped that she would be retained on this staff, and I don't know if she will be for sure, but I think she brought a lot of different perspective. She helped with the Harold Landry kind of easing his way back, I've heard. He had some really great things to say about her, so I think it'd be cool to have her on the staff again.
I think it's okay to have some of those coaches hang over a little bit from the previous staff, especially if the communication is right and they can actually coach too. I think this group is, as much as we're talking as peachy as we are about, oh man, Brian Callahan, this and this, I will think he's going to press his coaches to be good coaches, great teachers. And it seems like this group that he's somewhat retaining, as far as Jason Allen, Chris Harris, and Lori Locust, seem to be good communicators to where they can at least teach. And I think that's going to be huge as far as this is a younger team, I feel like, on both sides of the ball, and that's so crucial for them. So it'd be cool to see him. The fact that the Titans are declining other teams requesting Justin Allen says a lot about what we didn't know about him too. I think that's super unique when the team's like, no, he's ours, just leave him alone.
And he was an outside hire, right? When Mike Vrabel brought him in, it's not like it was like his buddy. Like that was something that was a little different.
Justin Allen's had 18 years of coaching. 8 NFL seasons, 1 with the Titans, following 1 year as the Broncos offensive coordinator. It's hard for us, honestly, to say much about these guys who are only here for 1 year, though, too, because you don't know how much of the issues or the strengths of this team were based on personnel or based on the coaching that was actually done, right? Like, I'm curious, Ramon, from the player perspective, what does a run game coordinator do?
Really knows to set you up in sets. Probably take some of the pressure off of Brian Callahan's and Nick Holt's plate, too, to understand how to break down defenses. The fact that he was a former Will and your break down a former coordinator in Denver anyway. He knows what structures look like. He knows what sets that they're going to be best to run up against. You are specifically looking at where the mix matches are as far as the run game goes and setting those up for your offense. Run game coordinator, passing game coordinator, you probably are just better at specialty at those types of things right there. And here's the other side, too. If you have him as your run game coordinator, that takes some of the pressure off of Bill Callahan's plate, too. It's where he's probably communicating to him, what your guys want this week? How do we need to run the ball and attack the squad? And formulating a plan to give to coach.
Niners and Chiefs injury reports yesterday, getting ready for the Super Bowl. For San Francisco, Trent Williams did not practice because of a rest day. Does feel like we're just going on a flashback into football season, like reading an injury report. I feel alive
what
again.
Is that?
Limited participation, Eric Armstead, Oren Burks, George Kittle with a toe injury, limited. And then for the Chiefs, Joe Thuney looks like he's not going to play.
Again?
Yeah, I don't think he's going to play. Didn't practice, and Andy Reid says it's pretty much a long shot at this point. Jerick McKinnon was limited, and then a big group of players all practiced, including L'Jarius Sneed, Chris Jones, Isaiah Pacheco, Rashee Rice, Richie James, all those guys, full participants at practice. How productive was the week of practice at the Super Bowl?
You do a lot of it before you get there.
Okay.
Because you know it's going to be a circus by the time you get to that destination city. So a heavy game plan in the week before. This is why the 2 weeks is crucial.
Yeah.
And I say starting today, you will start to buckle down just a little bit more. Today is where, okay, all right, if you've gone out, we ain't doing that no more. You can go to a dinner. We got meetings tonight. And then Friday, it really sets you up. Like we ended up switching hotels that Saturday night before the game and stuff like that to get away from everybody. So you will get reactivated into game mode. But a lot of the heavy lifting is done on the front end of it before you get down there because it is such a circus. It is.
How long has the 2 weeks been going on? Because remember, it used to be just one.
I'm not even sure.
Yeah, and I'm like, when did that change?
It's since before I got in the league. So I went in 2010, and we were 2 weeks then also. So I'm guessing it was before that also.
I was going to say, I don't know how they did that.
Yeah, I never knew it not to be 2 weeks, though, as far as I know.
Yeah, I felt like it was, but maybe not. I might be wrong. Let me look it up.
Congratulations to our teammates in afternoons, 3HL.
Yes.
Barrett Sports Media Top 20s have been coming out all week. The number 2 afternoon show
Nice.
in mid-markets in the United States. How about that? Number 1 in our hearts, though. Should have been number 1.
Yeah, big time, man. They should have been. I said I was gonna riot.
Well, we said we'd riot if they weren't number 1, and they should be number 1. So.
But you got those drops for me, fools, Homer. Yeah, I'm a 3HL Homer. That's what I am, man.
Save that one, too. That'll be good.
Y'all got quiet right there.
Yeah, we
The
did.
Super Bowl was moved back a week.
Yeah,
That's what it was.
Homer.
Sorry. I just wanted to correct myself there.
615-737-1045.
It was moved later in February.
Coach Dave McGinnis coming up next. The head coach of Titans Radio explains why he regretted going to the Senior Bowl when he was first hired as a head coach and how new assistants will help change the Titans draft board over the coming weeks. Coach Mack with us next.
Hey, it's Kayla Anderson and Ramon Foster for Window Nation. It is a cold time of year, even though we've had some nice days here the past couple of days. Now is the time to really check out if your windows are in good shape. And even if your house is like 10 years old, that doesn't mean your windows are perfect. So it is February. Your energy bills will be at all-time highs, and this is the time to replace those windows and save up to 30% on those energy bills. Those windows right now, 50% off all window styles, pay nothing, no interest for 2 full years. And this is a great time to protect your family from the elements. You got to lower your energy bills and upgrade the look and feel of your home, and everyone loves that.
And here's the other thing, too, okay? We're going to give a little instructions real quick.
Yes.
Okay, if you're in your car, put the back side of your hand up against your window. Guess what? It's probably cool right now. Your house windows should not feel like that. In the summertime, do the same exact thing. If your hand is hot against your car window and hot against your home window, it should not feel like that either, okay? And I know you're working out trying to get yourself together and all those types of things, and you're probably sweating. Well, guess what? Your windows are not supposed to be sweating like that. If you lift them and they drop back down, you need new windows. We've told you this before. I know you want to get that new HVAC system and get that roof fixed. Hey, your windows are just as important. And a quick little pro tip, too, 2 years without paying, you can probably get new windows, sell that house, and pay it off from the money you made from your house, too. So reach out to the folks that we trust. 866-90-NATION or go to windownation.com.
RKW is brewed by 8th and Roast on 104.5 The Zone as we roll right along. Kicking off your Thursday. We've got Ramon Foster, Kayla Anderson, Robert Walsh, I'm Will Bowling. And when this music plays, that means we are joined by Titans Radio's head coach. Coach Dave McGinnis, brought to you by Two Rivers Ford, Middle Tennessee's most trusted local Ford dealership for 40 years. Coach Mack, what's up?
Good morning, Will. Hey, guys. How we doing this morning? I just had a great conversation with Bert before he jumped on the air. He asked a very insightful question about the draft, and so he's wide awake this morning.
Well, what was the question? Bert, can you share with the rest of the class?
I asked Coach Mack if there were any traits that were uncoachable. Like when you see all these write-ups for draft prospects, it gives you the pros and the cons. And when you look at the cons list, sometimes those cons are very daunting and it can knock out some of the pros. But I didn't know if there was anything that might show up on that list that would make a prospect maybe uncoachable, or you would not be able to coach that trait out of the player.
I like that question.
Well, it's a very insightful question. It would take longer than we have now, but I appreciated that. Yeah, I really did. I mean, it's like, everybody's got coachable traits. Just like my great road mate and my great road dog Ramon. He's very coachable because I know he's going to get his own binoculars next year.
So, Coach Mack, this was my first question for you this morning. You are looking at guys at the Senior Bowl who are about to be rookies. You had a Titans Radio rookie with you as he wraps up his rookie year in Ramon Foster. How would you evaluate Ramon Foster's evaluations of prospects?
The future Hall of Famer.
Perfect.
I mean, everything was great, but I mean, he just had one flaw, and I can coach that out of him, and I think I did because I've harped on it enough and I made it public, so I know it'll be fixed.
Ramon is turning around his computer. He is on the no free shoutouts. He is on a binoculars website right now looking for binoculars as we speak, Max. So he is not an IE. He's not an instant evaluator, but he is an instant WB, instant without binoculars is what he is.
Yeah, but I know he'll get some just like mine because he loved them. Because every time I started to look, the big Paul would come over, he'd pull them off my eyes.
See, what that tells me is that Ramon did not grow up the way I did when I was using binoculars and XX1 at Neyland Stadium to watch Ramon play football for the Tennessee Volunteers from the upper deck to watch him play. So, look, we've got plenty of pairs we can probably loan you next time, Ramon.
No. He's buying the best of the best.
He wants
it's what I have. And you know what? He's very, very insightful because the first time he looked through him, he went, "Hey, Mac, this really helps." I said, "Yeah, no kidding."
Coach Mack, you want to know how you know ball, Coach Mack? You want to know how? Because you know that my wife is in the car listening to us right now and understands that, hey, if there was ever a gift to give somebody that got almost everything, binoculars is what Coach Mack suggests she should get me. All right, Coach Mack, there we go. Boom.
Perfect.
Two birds, one stone right there, Coach Mack.
Perfect. And I've met her before. Lovely lady, and I love that fact. I'm just so happy because I know we'll have a lot of time together watching players in the future. And so now you've got your own, and that makes me really happy.
Titans Radio's head coach, Coach Dave McGinnis, with us every Thursday here on RKW. Coach Mack, loved y'all's conversation with Chad Brinker, with Rand Carthon on the OTP down from Mobile. And there's one thing that Rand said I thought was interesting about taking the time, not going to Mobile, to hire assistant coaches, understanding that as they build a draft board for a new scheme, that board's going to change a little bit with Brian Callahan, with a new staff that is being assembled as we speak. How will some of those new assistants, Coach Mack, play a role in reshuffling that draft board and breaking down prospects themselves?
It'll be vital because, I mean, the first of all, the people that you're bringing in are very, very, very veteran people. Even if they're younger, they're veteran coaches. They know what they need. The schemes are going to change, and with that, the personnel that you use for those, there are certain traits that everybody has to have, to play in the National Football League. But the schemes are different, and so they'll have a huge now with the hiring of his father, Bill Callahan. I mean that's a major contributor as far as to the type of player that they will be looking at, for that offensive line. I know most of those. I mean, I know the defensive coaches that they've hired very, very well. They've always had a huge hand. I've worked with with two of them. extensively in the meeting rooms, in the draft rooms. They've had a huge hand in bringing personnel in when I've been around them, good talent evaluators. So it makes a big difference. And I think both of those interviews that we had extensively that are on the OTP, with Chad Breaker down in Mobile, and then when we got back on Monday with Rand Carthon, it gives you pretty good insight as far as to how the scouting department and the coaching department is going to work together in this phase of talent gathering. So it's very important.
Coach Mack, just so you know, you hit home with that one. Got a simple text from the wife that said, "Got it." She knows ball.
As I say, I've met your wife, was very impressed. This impresses me more.
You were so subtle about it, though, Ramon. That really surprises me.
I'm just saying, man. I mean, just throw little jabs out there, little breadcrumbs is what we call that, Coach Mack. But what's fascinating, though, Coach Mack, is being down there at the Senior Bowl, man, talking to Chad Brinker and also coming back talking to Rand Carthon with all the changes that they're making with coaching staff, with just changing of their board is something that Rand Carthon brought up, is they had to reshift what type of players they were looking for. At the end of the day, he made this point, and Chad did also. We're looking for football players, Coach Mack. What does that entails when you tell somebody, I am looking for a football player above all things else? Above all things.
A lot of it, Ramon, as you know, and for everybody else, it's the player themselves. What goes into the player themselves. We interviewed a lot of players down there for a short time, but I think that all of us, I mean, if you've done it long enough, when you're interviewing somebody without asking the stock questions, I think that's why the guys like coming to our table, is we weren't just asking stock questions. You can tell, and you could tell immediately when you pulled them out of the car wash and got them one-on-one with you. When we started asking just real football things, they relaxed and would open up, and you could just sense. I mean, not only what was coming out of their mouth, you can sense, when somebody is really, really eating up with it, and just, this is what they want to do. And you can tell that, but to do that, you got to spend time with the people, and there will be plenty of time to spend with those people. And if you know what you're looking for, and as I say, when you do this, there's no substitute for experience, when you do this, because you can't manufacture that. You sensed it, you and I and Rhett and Mike Keith, you could sense it when you sat and talked to those people, and, some would get up and leave, and you'd say, well, okay. But the others would go, okay, wow, I would like to have that guy just from this short amount of time with him, at least explore more, because I feel like that they would fit into what, our locker room would want to do. So it's all part of a process. The draft's not till the end of April, so they've got plenty of time to do that. But it's an important time. This is a big shift, and it's an important time right now for the development of this football team for the future, in talking to the type of players that you want to start forming this nucleus with.
Coach Mack, another unique thing about the Senior Bowl is we were able to watch some of the practice and see guys show up. And I heard you tell a story one time, too, about, the conversation around Aaron Donald's just like, God, just watch him do work. Screw what his measures will say. He's a football player. I don't care if he's 6'1", 6'2", 6'3", or whatever his size is, right? But he can play ball. We saw another guy do similar things, not in that context, but Braden Fisk, the D tackle out of Florida State, just kept showing up, Coach Mack. Why is Mobile important to see that type of stuff against those caliber of players? And he may have actually increased his draft stock last week.
Well, because you can see, some of the on the field stuff. Look, it's not the end all to be all, but it's for some of those guys especially, Braden Fisk, is a guy that really had a nice year, but as you say, his size was something that when you look at it, I mean, it's not the typical size of an interior defensive lineman or somebody playing across the front. But again, and I'll point to what you said, and you were one of the first ones to say it. I'll always give credit where credit's due, as far as sitting there watching. You leaned over and asked me, you said, Coach Mack, why does this guy keep showing up? Just in the now, and you got to take it, sometimes you got to understand the context of what, you're looking and watching, but you could just see the intensity out there on the football field with him. And then I think it's a good example of when we sat down and visited with a young man, you could feel that intensity about getting ready to be able to get employed as to play in the National Football League, you could tell that he's not going to be a guy that is going to fail because he doesn't really love it, because you could feel that in talking with him. So, I mean, you could sense that and you could see that. And so, and in fact, they had about 17 guys on that national team finally opt out of the game that had been there, through the week, opt out of the game. Fisk had to change teams because they didn't have enough defensive front people. And so, he just moved over to the other team, and again, was just him during the game too.
Coach Mack, last week we had Mary Kay Cabot on from Cleveland.com, switching back to the conversation about Bill Callahan for a minute. And we asked her specifically, with this line, with so many new faces and even some of the old pieces that had been shuffled around so much last year, what, could he have in terms of say in where some of these guys might end up on the line, even possibly, moving Skoronski over to tackle if he feels like that could suit him well. And we don't know what's going to happen, but how much do they listen to Bill Callahan when it just comes to where these pieces might end up, not permanently, but, that's going to be their main spot moving forward?
Oh, he'll have a huge say in it. You talk about you can't manufacture experience. First of all, Mary Kay Cabot, you can't manufacture that type of experience.
Mm-hmm.
She's one of the OGs as far as this goes, as far as covering teams. She's been at it a long time and does a great job and knows who's who in the zoo as far as what goes on. But the Bill Callahan, that was a huge get. I could not have more respect for somebody in this league as a coach, and especially as a position coach than I do for him. It's just, you just know it. You just know it, and it makes a difference. It makes a huge difference. The first team I was with the Bears, little side note, since Steve McMichael's going in now, that will be 8 players off of that 80s era Bears team that I was with are now in the Hall of Fame, counting 2 coaches, Mike Dick and the offensive line coach, Dick Stankel, and, who I learned NFL offensive play from the jump. He taught it to me, for 10 years. And so it's critical. But Bill Callahan is going to be a huge part of this organization, huge part.
So we had the Senior Bowl. Next up, crazy enough, it's going to be the NFL Combine at the end of the month, going into early March. What is it in terms of the difference between, just for people listening, learning about this process of the offseason, what's the different things you see at the Combine and maybe the way that you interact with these players and GMs than it is from something like the Senior Bowl?
Well, it's a completely different environment. It's totally different. There's first of all, you can opt in and opt out of the Senior Bowl, and Jim Nagy has done, since he's taken over, has done a tremendous job of getting quality players in there, because his scouting process is year long. He's got a scouting staff now. He's got a film bank. Jim Nagy, and I told him this last year because I've been to every one of the Senior Bowls down there, coached in several of them. The thing that he's done since he's taken over, he has elevated it. It's excellent. Changing from Lad People Stadium over there now to South Alabama, the whole thing is just top notch. It really is. But the Combine, you've got, what Jim had down there, 130, 140 guys. Yeah. At the Combine, you got 300 players there. You've got 300 players and everybody's there. And it's a massive process as far as, for the 8 days that it goes on, as far as the players that are there. And then plus, you're doing drills, but the interview process is much more extensive because they're there for a longer time. That's what they're there for. Huge medical looks, and your coaches come in by position, and so they're there just for their position group, and then they rotate out. The next position group comes in. It's a completely different environment. So they both have their place, and they're both really vital to the evaluation process. But you ask what's different, everything.
Mm-hmm.
Coach Mack, yesterday, Georgia tight end Brock Bowers made headlines at Super Bowl Radio Row when he was asked, what team do you want to go to? And he said, I'd kind of like to go to the Titans. When you watch him play, what do you see that jumps out, and what are his strengths as a future NFL tight end and maybe even a top 10 pick?
Well, I mean, I've been doing this for a while, so I mean, I'll give you a real detailed report. He's really good. You know,
Perfect.
That's about what I can tell you. I mean, you know, I mean, and the guy's probably been an NFL player for several years. I mean, he can do, especially in this day and age, with what a modern day tight end does. Just like these two tight ends that are the starting tight ends, the main guys that are going to be in this Super Bowl that we're all going to watch Sunday. Look, he can do it all. I mean, he can stretch the field. You know, he's an excellent nuanced route runner. He's a combat catcher. He's great with the ball after he catches it. He's a good blocker. I mean, I can give you a really good scouting report, but let me just start it out by saying good. You'd want him.
Definitely would, Coach Mack. When it comes down to making that decision about the staff, as Coach Callahan and Rand and everybody is in the front office, how much are you expecting, you know, as far as change when you start finalizing this group, Coach Mack? There can be changes made in the next year. I think they may retain some people too. How important is it to staff to get it right in the first year?
Well, it's always going to evolve. I mean, it's going to be involved, but you know, you take extensive work, especially, you know, if you've been in the process of putting your staff together. I mean, I've got great examples just because I've been doing it so long. Tyke Tolbert, you know, the guy that we've hired as the receiver coach. I mean, I gave him his first job, hired him out of Florida, you know, for his first NFL job. But he was on my list when I was initially, you know, and I hired him into my tenure as the head coach. But he had been on my list from the start, because you look and you try to find people that you think, once you get on that track, that you think you're going to be a commodity to at least interview for head coaching jobs. You start putting a linear list together, position-wise, saying, if I can get this guy, you know, I'd love to have him. If this guy maybe, you know, I can't get the first one, I'd like to get this one. Go. And he was one of the guys that was, you know, was on my list. Wasn't on my initial staff, but you know, when I promoted the wide receiver coach that I had initially hired, I promoted him to coordinator. Well, then Tyke Tolbert was the next guy on my list. So you have a list and you look at it and you try to piece it together. So it's going to change, but you try to get your base as well as you can the first time, and they've done an extensive amount of work. I mean, if you listen to this, you know, this OTA that we did with Rand, I think it's very insightful, you know, for the people that can listen, because he took the time on Monday when we got back from the Senior Bowl to sit down with you and I and with Mike Keith and Rhett Bryan for an extensive period of time to answer some really, really insightful questions on this process.
He is Coach Dave McGinnis. Thursdays here with us on RKW, presented by Two Rivers Ford, Middle Tennessee's most trusted local Ford dealership for 40 years. Coach Mack, thank you as always. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Matt.
Thanks, Coach.
Guys, it's my pleasure. I'm doing a lot of interviews out there on Radio Row.
Nice.
None of them ask as good a questions as you do. See you.
Only question worth asking is, who does Coach Mack know?
Yes.
Everybody.
Well, the thing I just wanted, I was trying to get out of our 3HL group was how long has Kirby been staying all night down on Fremont Street?
Yes.
Which is the original strip down there, because that's where Kirby will be.
Ooh, I believe that.
Smoking a cig.
I love it. Thank you, Coach Mack.
See you guys.
All right,
Mack.
there he is, Coach Mack, with us this morning here on Ramon, Kayla, and Will. Let's react to the Brock Bowers stuff coming up next. Would you be open to him becoming a Titan? And what is his future in the NFL? Who does he remind you of? We'll answer that next. RKW is brewed by 8th and Roast on 104.5 The Zone as Robert Walsh puts us all in our feels a little bit with the Sad Drake catalog here in hour 2. Streaming live at 104.5 The Zone TV. If you want to go to the 104.5 The Zone app, you can hear the musical stylings of Robert Walsh there. Download it and give us 5 stars while you're there. That'd be great.
Perfect.
I hate when y'all are just having conversations over the mic while everything else is going on, and I feel left out.
Well, you want to know, like, seriously?
I do want to know.
This
I'm
is a
just-
banger song.
Hey, it's
It's
between
such a-
them. I'm over here too.
It's such a banger, though.
myself.
Like, this song right here, don't think about it too much. And him talking about his journey, I was just letting him know because I know he's a super emotional dude, too. Like, in moments, I've heard this, and I think deeply about my mom. So I was just like, this is one
sweet.
of the... So when you said he have
yeah.
you in your feels... Like, of course, my mom passed away and stuff like that. So that was just one of them, like, God, this song right here gets you. I'm a music lifer, so I love that type of stuff. And that's what I was just telling my emotional friend.
No, for
back
sure.
there.
The moment you're talking about in the song is when he's relating to his mom, saying like, she's too old to go out and still live her life. Like she thinks she needs to stay at home. He's like, no, stop that. I about said a bad word, but like, it Too Much by Drake. Go listen to it. It's a great song.
Don't
It's a
think
really good
about
song.
it too much is what he's telling you. So, yeah, that's one of them moments right there. That's
love it.
beautiful. He didn't play that either, though, Bert.
It does not surprise me.
You said you weren't going to give too much away. You're actually giving too much away.
It's because we got to be transparent on these radio
said you
waves and
weren't
stuff.
giving too
I
much
know, but
away.
look,
I'm cool with it
I'm
if you're saying what they don't play. Just don't tell me what they do play.
Yeah. Oh, you talking about the set?
Yes,
Oh,
yes,
he'll be
yes,
all right.
yes.
Hey,
That's what I'm talking about.
this
That's what
dude
I'm
is
talking
gonna be a
about.
furry tonight.
He
If I
gonna
see-
be all
If I
right.
see him
Because I wanna
dancing
know what was
to
going on
Sexy
there.
Red, I'm gonna lose it. I'm bringing a carton of eggs.
Anyway.
Sexy Red.
Anyway, Brock Bowers wants to be a Titan. Should we play the audio? Let's play the audio.
Do it.
Well, I know you
Georgia
can't control it, but if you could, where would you want to go?
Whoever wants to take me. I mean, it's hard to say. I'd love to go to.
He wants the Niners to get rid of Kittle, and then he wants to go to the 49ers.
I'd be all right.
Let him say it.
I'd be all right with going to the Tennessee Titans. I mean, I liked it down
Really?
in the Georgia,
Yeah.
Tennessee area.
Yeah,
I mean, I
yeah.
thought it was cool, but yeah, that'd be a cool spot to
Yeah,
be.
you hear that, Titans?
Oh, we do hear that. We also heard Chris Sims trying to interrupt him and just not let him give the answer. So thank you, Mike Florio, for saving the conversation.
First time anyone's ever
is
said that.
wild.
I'm not a Florio fan.
Thank you, Mike Florio. Are you in or out on Brock Bowers to the Titans at 7?
Or yeah, Kayla Nelson.
Out.
You out?
Sorry.
Really?
Yeah, I'm
Okay.
out. I
Why's
like
that?
Brock Bowers. I think he's a talent. I think a tight end specifically when you're drafting that high, while I think he will fit a team really well that really needs that, it is kind of a real big luxury pick in a way. And I just feel with what the Titans have at that position and with Callahan coming in with kind of a new scheme of how he does things, I just don't know if that's the fit right now because there's so much other things you have to have right now on this team. And again, not taking anything away from the talent of that guy, I just don't think it's the right time for this organization to draft him when there's all these other big needs. And even honestly, I'd take a wide receiver before him.
Feel you on that one. I somewhat do like it. I like it for this reason right here. He's smart as heck for actually saying this out loud, too. Because if you look at the needs of the teams behind him, nobody else needs a tight end until Cincinnati as far as positional needs. He's saying if you don't get me, if I drop further than that, I don't know where I'm going to drop. And if he's the best available on the board, and you looking, this is my thing, you're looking for this team to get more weapons, get more speed, get more mix matches, right? And that's one thing this team did not have, whether it be receiver or whether it be tight end. He is a mix match. Like, he's a nightmare to certain defenses. So I love that. And the fact that was a smart business comment. Take me at 7. I don't want to fall any further.
Yeah, right. And 2, I think it's interesting how so many guys going into the draft just want to live in Nashville.
That's true, too.
Like a lot of the conversation about what is an attractive landing spot for a player in terms of who your quarterback is, who your coach is, all these things. For 21-year-old dudes, they just want to live here. Like, genuinely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he's a Cali guy, too. So, I mean, he's pretty much established down here. His family, that's a straight flight from the Bay Area, if I'm not mistaken, for him and his family.
I'll tell you one thing. Titans fans need to be trying to find a picture of him in a gas mask, man.
Somebody did Photoshop that literally
Really?
last night.
Yeah.
Yes.
Be like, oh my God, man! I can't believe you've done this, Brock Bowers. You were such an academic, such a specimen, and now you want to lower yourself by putting a gas mask on. Oh no, he's going to drop to the second round now. Dang it!
One of our guys, Titan Matt, actually on Twitter, Titan Matt _.
I love that.
Friend of the program.
Love that.
We hung out with him before at a Sounds game, I think, a couple of years ago. Posted a picture of it to him and his girlfriend after like the Georgia spring game. And it's like, why would Brock do this? Now he has to fall to the second round. No way we can let him slide.
Great minds think alike. I love that.
If you're unfamiliar, that's what Laramie Tunzel did, the Dolphins and now Texans left tackle before the draft when that picture was posted. Like as the draft was starting, and he was the clear best left tackle, maybe best player in that draft. And he fell to what, 10?
10.
Yeah.
I think either 10 or 11, yeah.
And Houston's still benefiting from that.
I want the highest floor. That's what I want at 7. But I don't think you overthink it. Left tackle no matter what.
That's the biggest thing. Don't overthink it.
I am team offensive line.
And I am.
Are you saying that
overthinking
they
it.
shouldn't think about it too much?
Don't think. Yo, that's it. That's a dope song, right? We might think about it because I am at this point right
I mean,
now.
picking in the top 10, though, it is crazy. You're unfamiliar, but at the same time, picking at 11 last year, like, I know way too many teams there right now that I didn't know last year.
Yeah.
So you're with a lot of bad franchises you didn't know last year that you're now in the same.
Not everybody knows every lyric.
Titans trying to draft a player that will help them
Every
get a
Drake
really
That is the
big
song
ring.
Over by Drake. I'm not going to sing it, but I will
Good
quote
Lord.
it, and then I will tell you what it is.
I need my brick so bad right now to throw at you.
We've got a really big team, and the Titans won some really big rings. Coming up next, I'm not that guy for my terrible jokes and just making a good pot of coffee and contributing nothing else. But
Get out.
if you want to tell someone they're not that guy in your world, like Ramon's telling me right now, 615-737-1045. You're not that guy's next.
8 o'clock. Good morning from the 104.5 The Zone Studios. I am Robert Walsh. Chiefs making their final preparations for the big game on Sunday, activating wide receiver Sky Moore on injured reserve, placing defensive end Charles Omenihu on injured reserve. Omenihu was injured in the AFC Championship game against Baltimore. Sky Moore has been out since the Chiefs' 27-17 win over the Patriots in Foxborough. Very rarely do prospects ever answer the question, where would you like to be drafted? But Brock Bowers did not buck the question when being interviewed by Chris Sims and Mike Florio.
Well, I know you can't control it, but if you could, where would you want to go?
Whoever wants to take me. I mean, it's hard to say. I'd love to go to.
He wants the Niners to get rid of Kittle, and then he wants to go to the 49ers.
That'd be all right.
Let him say it.
I'd be all right with going to the Tennessee Titans. I mean, I liked it down in the Georgia, Tennessee area.
Yeah,
I mean, I thought it was cool, but yeah, that'd be a cool spot to
Yeah,
be.
you hear that, Titans?
Yeah, we hear you. And in college hoops, the Vols dominate LSU 88-68. Dalton Connect finishes the game 27 points, 7 rebounds, and 6 assists. For all your foundation repair and waterproofing needs, visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and the Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
Second half of the show, a very warm welcome to your Thursday morning on RKW. We are brewed by 8th and Roast, the best coffee in the Music City. Stop by and see them at any of their 4 locations. They'll get you in, they'll get you out, they'll get you caffeinated. And if you like us, they'll get you opinionated as well. Opinionated that they've got really good coffee. You can find every retail bag in your favorite Kroger or Whole Foods in Middle Tennessee, 8th Avenue, Charlotte, the airport, or their brand new spot. It is gorgeous in the store at the Broadview at Vanderbilt. Check them out there, 8th and Roast. We love our partners at 8th and Roast, and we love you guys for joining us at 615-737-1045. You're Not That Guy coming up in seconds. And Jim Nagy, the executive director of the Reese's Senior Bowl, coming up in 20 minutes. Curious what feedback he got from people around the league about this class in particular and the crop of talent in Mobile last week.
Yeah, because didn't Ramon, you mentioned this last week, I think, on the show, there are some really talented guys like that you can get in the first 3 rounds. But after that, it does seem like the quality might drop off a bit. And look, that could change in terms of what we see in the combine and pro days, but it is top heavy.
It's top heavy. I think I would almost say the first 4 rounds. But here's the pro tip, though, too. It's usually that case anyway. I just think it's probably more of an emphasis on it this year. And I want to see what he has to say about it again because I always say the first 4 rounds are locks for teams, at least in the first year. And I'm not sure if he means there should be more developmental guys on the back end of it, or if it's, hey, these are one-and-done guys on the year. They might not make your 53-man roster out of camp. So it will be fascinating somewhat hear that answer.
But right now, it is time to complain. You're Not That Guy on RKW. Six 615-737-1045. We'll go opposite order as we typically do this morning. Robert Walsh, you lead us off today.
I will lead us off. I don't know if you guys have been able to keep up with all the news that's been going on in Las Vegas, but apparently earlier in the week, an NFL player was attacked by a coyote.
Oh, for real?
Well, we thought, oh, for real.
Was it a wily coyote?
It was a wild coyote, but we weren't able to prove it. A Twitter account called Local Las Vegas tweeted earlier today a coyote attacked an NFL player. It was unsubstantiated, and I don't believe the NFL for trying to cover this up. They were very savvy yesterday, sending a Chiefs player around to interview his teammates, asking them, have you been bitten by a coyote? No one was able to step up. But I remember I remember, what was it, 12 years ago, 10 years ago, 12 years ago, I think. The Ravens were in the Super Bowl, and why was Ray Lewis able to play in that game? Deer antler spray. I think the Chiefs player that was bitten by the coyote was their left guard, Joe Thuney. And I think that they are trying to get him prepared to play. You can't cover it up. You can't pull the wool over my eyes. A wolf in sheep's clothing, a coyote, if you will. NFL trying to cover up this coyote bite. You are not that guy.
Wake up, sheeple. Come on.
Let's see the forest for the trees.
I'll take next. That's somewhat I gave mine away yesterday. And it's to the people that want to link up, these companies that want to link up and provide another platform for us to stream out of. Look, I'm streamed out, okay? I don't even want to go chasing streams. I chase waterfalls like TLC from here on out. Do you understand me?
I love that song.
I am over the streaming apps, and I am a big streaming fan right now. Don't offer me another streaming platform. If you can't put it together in a simple box and deliver it to my TV like cable was, why do I have to continue to pay $12, $9, and then you up the price on me the next month and say, hey, we're having adjustments to your bill? I don't want to hear about that no more, okay? Give me something simple, which we had called cable, okay? Again, I am begging for cable to come back in a better form. Don't ever offer me another streaming device service entity again in the life of television, okay? Whether I got a smart TV or not, I'm done with streaming. And yes, we got good internet, but that's besides the fact, okay? Don't offer another. I don't care who you are. Don't offer it. Prime. I don't care if it's ESPN, anybody. I'm done with streaming. You're not that guy to all you companies that make us go to the internet.
You're not that guy, pal. Trust me. You're not that guy.
Fair enough.
I get it, man.
Over it.
I swear I can't keep track of all those, but I have them all. So there you go. We talked about this earlier in the week, but I just, like, we talk about the NFL being scripted, and it's like, I'm joking, but in a way, this makes me laugh even more because they keep on adding fuel to the fire. That is the NFL. Earlier this week, the 49ers arrive in Las Vegas. They're ready for Super Bowl week. Kansas City is practicing in this up-to-date, really like futuristic Raiders facility. And then they're like, hey, Niners, you're going to UNLV. And you're going to go practice on their field. But don't worry, they put sod, up top. And you'll be fine. It'll be good to go. Mm-hmm. And they get there, and you're hearing, like, the conditions are awful. They're slipping around. UNLV doesn't have the greatest facility as it is. No hate on them, but it is what it is. Football doesn't, do great there. Right. And it just makes you think, how did the NFL get this so wrong? It's not even, a little uneven. It's really uneven. You have the Chiefs going to the Raiders facility, an NFL-approved stadium facility, and then you've got them going to some just makeshift field at UNLV. Come on, man. That is so, do they want? Yeah. Do they want the Chiefs just to win the Super Bowl and the Kelsey and the Taylor stuff? Come on, NFL.
Love it. You're not that guy.
You're
not that guy, pal. Trust me. You're not that guy.
It's in the script. That's right. My You're Not That Guy goes to Randy Moss because for one New York radio show, he literally was not that guy. There is a New York radio show, the one including Boomer Esiason, that tried to book Randy Moss, the football player, and accidentally booked on Radio Row Randy Moss, the horse expert.
Yeah. And I forget what Emmett Smith was pumping, but everybody's got something, and that's why I'm actually happy we are not at Radio Row. What is Randy Moss promoting, by the way, Al? Do you know?
It's something having to do with horse racing.
Really?
He's very into horse racing.
Are you sure this is the right
Yeah.
Not
this
the
is
other
Randy Moss, the wide receiver, not Randy.
Is there another?
Yes.
There's There's an announcer, Randy Moss, who is into horse racing.
Please tell me that's fake.
That would be so awesome. Oh my God.
Oh my God.
No, because they said, I saw in the request that Randy would like to talk about blah blah blah. Also, anything NFL related. I'm a double check that.
Or maybe the Randy Moss, who is the sports announcer, or the horse racing announcer.
He used to work for the NFL Network.
Come on.
I swear to God.
Yes.
How's that possible?
Jesus.
This is horrible.
This is what Mark Chernoff's talking about. You lazy ass.
There you go.
You're not doing any follow through.
Boomer Esiason and Greg Giannotti booked Randy Moss, thinking they were booking the wide receiver at Radio Row. and they booked the guy that talks about the Kentucky Derby, who used to be on NFL Network on NBC. Randy Moss, you are literally not that guy that's going on a New York radio show.
No.
You're not that guy, pal. Trust me. You're not that guy.
That's so good.
That's amazing.
So, Joe Hung, please just make
awesome.
sure if you're booking guests, make sure that guest does not also have a name and talks about another sport too. So.
I did something worse than that my first week on this job when
Really?
we were trying to book Brad Hopkins, and I booked another.
You were trying
Brad.
to book Brad Crawford, and you
Oh, and I got
texted Brad Hopkins.
Yeah, right. But yeah, Brad Hopkins. Was
And they
good to
both
go.
came on. It was great.
Yeah, right, we had both Brads.
We tweeted out
was
the
fun.
schedule that morning of like coming up this morning 7:20 Brad Crawford, and he like retweeted it and was like, "Oh, cool."
Can't wait.
Tells you how nice of a
Surprise.
guy he is.
Oh my God.
All right, we got time for
That's
one.
amazing.
You're not that guy caller here. Before we get to Jim Nagy, we can get back to these at the end of hour 3 as well at 8:45. But we go to Eric in Nashville, who is first up. What's up, Eric?
Hey guys, one of my favorite things growing up, I'm a big professional wrestling fan. I love the days of Jerry Lawler, Bill Dundee, and Jackie Fargo because that's how old I am. But this whole WWE thing with Rock now being in the main event of WrestleMania is stupid. Now that I'm hearing the reports that it's a storyline, like I guess the Yes Movement with Daniel Bryan. That's bad if that's the case. And also on top of that, Rocky now is getting Rocky such chance and they're booing him. But also online, the wrestling fans are going crazy. They're sending him death threats and death threats to his daughter, April Rain. I mean, it is just so stupid. And now there's reports we're going to have a press conference, I guess, in Vegas later today with all the principals involved. But I'm just so over it. I'm just wishing the Bloodline storyline would be over. If things are working, WWE is screwing with us. I mean, they are not that guy as well as the WWE fans are sending The Rock and his daughter death threats. Y'all take care of it. Talk again soon.
You're not that guy, pal. Trust me. You're not that guy.
Thanks, Eric.
You got to trust the process, Eric. We ain't at WrestleMania yet. You don't know what the main event's going to be yet. Give it time. Let Cody finish his story, man. It's a story. Come on.
In the words of Ted Lasso, I literally think I have a better understanding of who killed Kennedy than what happens in professional wrestling.
So many people watch it, though.
I understand rocket science more so than I understand the drama of pro wrestling. So I'll leave that to you guys.
It would be much easier for me to explain the commercials that are going to come up next. But after that, Jim Nagy, Senior Bowl, he's going to talk to his other prospects that made some money and who lost some money. Next.
When it comes to large home repairs, a lot of time we homeowners pretend we don't see the warning signs. We are afraid of what we're going to hear. This is especially true with waterproofing and foundation repair. It could be something big that needs to be fixed right away, or it could be a small problem now that'll be bigger later. Or maybe nothing at all. The bottom line is we don't know, and we certainly don't want to be sold something we don't need. What we need is a peace of mind. The United Structural System is the company to give you that. They have over 25,100% satisfied residential customers. And here's how they make that happen. Okay, when USS comes out to your house, you're going to get a problem solver who provides the peace of mind to their customers. That's the homeowners. You're not going to get someone who's worried about meeting a sales quota or upselling the next big thing, but someone that'll help educate you and help you understand what is happening with your home. That's because homeowners trust USS, keeping homes dry and stable for over 25 years. USS, serving Middle Tennessee, Southern Kentucky, and Western Kentucky. Western Kentucky and Northern Alabama. You can reach them online at USSTN.com or call them 615-488-7855.
Rolling right along on a Thursday morning edition of RKW. We are brewed by 8th and Roasts with Ramon Foster and Kayla Anderson. I'm Will Bowling. Talking some NFL draft, talking Senior Bowl with the best source to do exactly that. He is the executive director of the Reese's Senior Bowl, Jim Nagy, who joins us this morning here on the show. What's up, Jim? How are you?
Yeah, good morning. We missed you down here this past week.
Ramon was carrying the flag for the show. He was representing us all. We missed being down there, Jim, and missed the food, the prospects, and all these things. But Ramon had glowing remarks on how everything went and said it was just awesome, as always.
Awesome. Well, let's get into it then.
Absolutely, Jim. Well, I wanted to start just with the broad look at the prospects as a whole. As you talk to people around the league, to coaches, to front office staff, what feedback did you get about just the entire group of prospects, you guys, and this specific group of Senior Bowl prospects?
Well, it was our best roster, and I'm not saying that gloatingly. I'm saying it because we can bring juniors now, so it should be. If we're doing our jobs right, it should be the best roster. So we had 17 or 18 underclassmen in the game this year, and those guys were all, top 4-round prospects. Most of them were top 100 prospects. So when you chop off close to 20 seniors off the bottom end of the roster and you replace them with that caliber of player, you should have a great roster. So no, I think the position group that probably was better than what the league expected. The feedback I'm getting, the corner group, a bunch of cornerbacks really had good weeks down here, and so there's going to be better depth there in that group than maybe some teams realized.
Jim, man, awesome showing, man. Everybody said the exact same things. Like, it was a lot of great talent, number one, but, of course, the way you guys are running and set it up, it just gets better and better, man. Congratulations on another successful one first.
No, I appreciate that, man. No, and it helps having great weather. We had 3 days of unbelievable weather for practice, and the NFL Network went live with our practices for the first time in over a decade. So that was helpful too. So yeah, there was a lot of great things. And we sold it out. We sold it out for the first time. Sold out game day for the first time since Tim Tebow played in it, whatever that was, 13, 14 years ago. So everything's going in the right direction.
It's awesome.
That's cool.
It is, man. And I'm going to back in. We've been discussing this. I heard you on PFF's podcast speaking about it. But as far as the overall outlook on this draft this year, I think you said rounds 1 through 4 is pretty much heavy with talent, and people should position themselves to move up. But the back end of it is hit or miss. What do you mean by the back end of it not being as rich as other years? What does that look like?
Yeah, I think we're going to see the effects of NIL in this year's draft, and I know that because we had to save a bunch of roster spots for the juniors this year at every position, and then we had some upsets where guys went back to school, and then there were some guys we didn't get that maybe we thought we'd have a chance at. So then when we circled back to the rest of the seniors on the board, a lot of those guys were already in the transfer portal and signed with another school, or signed a big NIL deal to go back to their original school. And at that point, like, we can't be offering Senior Bowl invites to guys that are, they just upset the college coaches. So those relationships are really important to us. So it wiped out day 3. Our board, when we did circle back, those guys were all like 5th through 7th round picks, and the vast majority of them were going back. So if I were a team with a lot of day 3 picks, I'd either be trying to get out for next year, trade a this year's 5 for a next year's 4, something of that nature. But I don't think there's going to be a lot of suitors for that. Or I'd be trying to trade up and just, use the ammunition to move up in those first 4 rounds, because our board got wiped out pretty good. I'm hearing the same thing with the teams.
So here in Nashville, the Titans are in a desperate need, and I know free agent has to handle itself, Jim, but as far as offensive line play, I was very much impressed by the tackles and the center specifically. I know the guard from UConn did pretty good himself also, and there was a couple others, but can you speak on those two groups, the centers and the tackles, if you will?
Sure. No, it's a good year to need those guys. My first year at the game 6 years ago, we had 5 offensive linemen go in the first round. I think we could top that this year. A couple of the tackles that really stood out were Tyler Guyton from Oklahoma. I think he's the most talented one in the draft. Taliese Fuaga from Oregon State was as advertised. He's already being mocked in a lot of top 10, mock draft stuff. Those guys stood out. Jordan Morgan from Arizona was really good. He's another guy that will probably go in the first round. And the centers, I would agree with you. And a lot of our day 3 centers, guys that are getting, 4th, 5th round grades, showed up really well. A bunch of the SEC guys, we had 3 or 4 SEC centers in the game, and all those guys showed up probably better than teams expected. And the guy that'll probably be the first center taken now is Jackson Powers Johnson from Oregon. He got about 2 full days in a practice, popped a hamstring at the end of the second day, and he came down here with that hamstring injury. So, and I'm going to let teams know that. He was not 100% coming down, and he just wanted to compete. And then he kind of overextended on a pass set and pulled that thing pretty good. So, but in the 2 days, he didn't regret it. He said, "Jim, I don't regret coming down here and getting hurt." He's like, "No team. Nobody's paying me, to run or drafting me to run a 40-yard dash. I could give a rip about the combine." What he did in the 2 days was pretty impressive. Like, did he get himself into round 1? I don't know. Usually the first centers usually go in round 2. But Jackson Powers Johnson from Oregon looked like a slam dunk day 1 NFL starting center.
And just him real quick, absolutely. I think we've talked him into a first round at this point with everything he's done at the Senior Bowl. And another one was Charles Turner, the third out of LSU. He may be a second day, third day type of guy, but it looked like he put some good tape out there too as far as centers.
Yeah, that was one of the SEC guys I was referring to. Charles had a really good week. He's very athletic, and he fits more in his own scheme. But because of that, he's a little underbulked and there was a knock about his play strength. I thought play strength-wise he held up better than people thought. And then the other thing was he was talking a lot, which I like. I mean, he was jawing and getting guys going on the other side of the ball. He and Tavondre Sweat from Texas were going back and forth quite a bit. And, sometimes for guys that are seen as, like, athletic, almost when you say athletic, you're almost framing them like they're a finesse player. He got after it and I think showed a level of toughness that impressed teams too.
Jim Nagy of the Senior Bowl, kind enough to join us this morning on Ramon, Kayla, and Will. So you mentioned cornerbacks, that position a little bit earlier on when we started this interview. That is a position where I think a lot of Titans fans would agree they really need to try to draft a cornerback. It's a sticky situation with the Titans right now not having a third-round pick. But, Jim, anybody who stood out to you in terms of that cornerback position this last week at the Senior Bowl?
Yeah, you got to find somebody to play opposite our guy Roger McCreary, right?
Yep.
I've heard from the Tennessee. We had Coach T down here coaching our American squad, Coach Terrell Williams, and he had a lot of great things to say about Rodgers. So I think Rodgers doing a good job for you guys up there. But yeah, the cornerback group like Jarvis Brownlee from Louisville had a great week. Your guy Shaw Wade Smith from Washington State. Not only did he have 2 interceptions in the game, he had a really good practice week as well. Got his hands on a bunch of balls. Cam Hart is a big corner from Notre Dame who had a really good week. That his name kept coming up over and over again when I'm talking to scouts. So yeah, I think that whole group. I mean, from top to bottom, I think we brought 16 corners to the game this year, and it was from top to bottom a really solid group. And I look at a lot of those guys are going to go in that 2nd to 4th round range. So. I don't know if you said you don't have a third. If you have a fourth, I think you'll still be able to get a good player in the 4th round because of the depth of the class.
That's good to hear. Jim, you guys had some really big name quarterbacks down there. Bo Nix, obviously Michael Penix Jr., and a guy that a lot of people are familiar with here in Joel Milton, the former Vols quarterback, who had a little bit of an up and down time there. Do you feel like a showing like that can really hurt a player, or do you feel like there's things that he did you can be like, okay, let's see what he can do in pro day, et cetera, before, we see if he drops or rises?
Well, I'm not a huge pro day quarterback guy myself. I don't put a lot of stock in any of that, but no, I think, with Joe, I mean, there was inconsistencies at Tennessee as well, and I'm not saying this because of the chair I sit in now. This goes back to when I got into scouting 25 years ago. I mean, there was an old axiom among scouts that all-star games can only help players. You can't hurt players. And I thought Joe got better every day. I mean, there was one throw that got put out there on social media where he missed a check down that a bunch of snarky people on social media were talking about. But, shocker, right? People on social media being snarky. But Joe did great in the interviews. I heard that repeatedly. And then, we did a thing this year. We named a good guy award. We lost a family member this past year, a guy that had helped us out during game week for about 20 years and passed away this past year. So we named a good guy award, and then we let everyone on the staff that, touched these players in one shape or form over the weekend. Joe got that award.
Nice.
He was awesome behind the scenes. He's a great dude. Like I said, I know he killed the interviews, and then he's a great athlete. He's got great size. He's got great arm strength. So, I mean, I don't think Joe Milton's gonna fall too far in this draft. There's just too much to work with, and he's too good of a dude.
Jim Nagy, Executive Director of the Reese's Senior Bowl, our guest this morning here on 104.5 The Zone. Jim, Peyton Wilson, a linebacker at NC State, is a guy, I know NFL Network's Dana Jeremiah thought he was one of the guys who rose up draft boards potentially. 3-sport star in North Carolina, lacrosse, wrestling, football. What do you see when you watch him as the Titans also look at that position of off-ball linebackers as a big position to need?
Well, you see speed. You see speed and instincts and motor. I mean, I've said it over and over again with Peyton. I mean, you can get to the ball in 3 ways. You can get there with your motor, you can get there with your eyes, you can get there with your speed, and he's got all 3. And the reason he showed up well down here is because of the coverage stuff. He's what the NFL is looking for guys that can stay on the field in sub packages. So it didn't surprise me that he had a good week. I mean, this game was kind of tailor suited to a guy like that can run and play in space. So happy for him. I mean, he's been through a lot injury wise, and again, that's the medical is going to be key for him. But just a really good football player.
Jim, one of the biggest things that we enjoyed last year being down there, and we had such a good time watching this entire process, was getting to know Tyjae Spears. And, of course, we had no idea that he was going to turn into the kind of player the Titans needed him to be ultimately this past season. And I remember meeting him down in Mobile. 1 year removed from that process, Jim, as you watch what Tyjae did as a rookie, and there's speculation about Derrick Henry, a free agent, whether or not he's back. How prepared is Tyjae Spears, in your opinion, to be an every down back and be maybe the bell cow with this Titans offense this year?
Well, when you say the word prepared, nobody's going to prepare more, and physically he's got it. And the cool thing with Tyjae, guys, like he was at practice, he came to the game, and he texted me this morning thanking me for bringing his 2 buddies from Tulane, Michael Pratt, the quarterback, and Jaquan Jackson, who's really his best friend, the wide receiver. That just tells you what kind of he had no reason to, he didn't have to text me and thank me. I mean, that's unbelievable. But no, he's talking to Coach Williams. He's a great leader in that locker room for a young guy. A guy that's going to be a future captain of the Titans. And you saw him. I mean, he's the same guy in college that he was for you guys. When he gets his chances, he's as dynamic of open field player as I've seen in the last few years. So. I don't know what they're going to do there at running back, but back to your question, yeah, I think Tyjae's going to be ready for whatever role they have for him.
Jim Nagy with us this morning of the Senior Bowl. Jim, I have to ask you because I don't know where he's going to land, what scheme. You're a former scout yourself, still a scout technically with what you do now. Has there ever been a bigger personality than T'Vondre Sweat?
He's a big personality. He's a big man and a big personality to match. No, he's I think T'Vondre knew going into the week that he needed to just show toughness and effort, and that's been kind of the knock with T'Vondre is that he's just this big talented guy, and is the talent ever going to materialize? And it did this year. Quite frankly, a year ago he was eligible for the Senior Bowl and we didn't invite him. We had like a 5th round grade on him. So he came back this year. He was locked in. He listened to the scouts in the off season. He knew what they were saying about him. And went out and had a great year and won all those awards. I don't know which award I don't know which ones he won, but I know he won
Outland.
Big 12 Defensive Player of the Year and some of the Outland. And he was locked in coming down here. He's got a chip on his shoulder now that he knows the knock on him was some of the effort stuff. So he came down here, put in a good week. Like I said, he was talking a lot of junk with our center from LSU. And showed some fire to him, man. I told him at the end of the week after the game, I saw him on the field after the game. I said, man, you really helped yourself. Like it wasn't for show. Like these teams know how serious you are about this now and how into football you are. I mean, you can't fake the way he was practicing. So it was good. It was a good week for him. And those guys don't grow on trees, Ramon. You know that. I mean, if you're gonna take T'Vondre Sweat, you're gonna take him in the top 50 picks. I mean, there's not many guys in the NFL right now that big and that talented. So somebody's going to want that guy in the middle of their defense.
The Titans also have a wide receiver need, and it can always be addressed for almost any team. And, of course, we're SEC-centric here, too. I just have to bring up what you saw from Ricky Pearsall and also Xavier Legette. I know Legette had the sleeve on his calf, ankle somewhere also, but he still showed well, and Ricky Pearsall just kept getting open.
I knew you were going to bring up Pearsall.
I loved him. I'm going to be honest. I did.
Yeah, I had a couple teams hit me up the week before the Senior Bowl. They were getting some of these guys were getting ready, prepping for the Senior Bowl, kind of, director level, assistant GM level guys, GMs, and hadn't seen the whole roster. So they were just like grinding through a bunch of tape before they got down here. And a couple guys hit me up. They're like, man, this Pearsall kid's pretty dang good. I don't think I know he doesn't get out of the third round. If you're going to take him, you're taking him somewhere on day 2. I'll be curious to see if he gets up into the second round. I think he's going to test well. Just a really good receiver. You saw the route running down here and the ability to get open. That's what everybody's looking for. And then he's got ridiculous catching skills. I mean, you throw it in his vicinity, he's going to catch it. And then Leggett came down, had kind of a spotty day 1, I should say. And then the second day on Wednesday, he locked in and made a bunch of good plays. Looked like the Xavier Leggett that we saw on tape all year. Big, fast, strong. One of the best, height, weight, speed receivers in this year's draft. And then, you mentioned the sleeve on his leg. Yeah, he re-aggravated a calf injury and tried to gut it out on Thursday and just couldn't do it because, he's another guy that came down here with – it was a little nicked up from his training. So, again, that's another guy that I don't think he gets out of the second round. I think Xavier's probably a top 50 player. But both those guys helped themselves. I mean, in terms of the SEC receivers, they'll probably be the top 2 to go.
Jim Nagy with us. Jim, I saw a tweet that you had, and I love it. It's a tweet of how it started and how it's going. And it's Mizzou's Darius Robinson and a guy that Ramon Foster just spoke very highly of, Braden Fisk. Yeah. Just what about this guy stood out to you? Because I've been hearing his name all over the place in terms of his stock rising.
Yeah, those two guys were probably stole the show, at least in the defensive line group. And Darius was our overall defense, or our overall practice player of the week. Was unbelievable, really versatile. But Braden Fisk is a guy, Western Michigan transfer, so only 1 year down there with the Seminoles. And the best word to describe him is just disruptive. He creates havoc for people around him. He's really quick off the ball. So, he can get upfield and draw extra attention, and then other guys kind of clean up. So, he's way more productive, on tape than he is on paper, if that makes sense. Mm-hmm. Like I said, really twitched-up athlete, plays his tail off, can really run. Probably going into the week, 4th roundish. I think teams were hopeful they could maybe get him early day 3. And after last week, I don't think he gets out of the second round. Just because of how he's wired, there was, I made a tweet about it on game day. We actually moved him from the American squad to the national squad on the morning of the game, and out of necessity, we just lost a bunch of interior defensive linemen on the one team. We had to even it out and just to get through the game. And Braden was the first, the defensive coordinator for the American squad, who was losing Braden Fisk, was not happy with me. And I'm like, man, we're just trying to get through the game. But the reason I picked Braden was because I knew he wouldn't flinch. There were some other guys that we could have moved that I know that I had a feeling would have, had struggled with it and not really accepted it. But Braden was like, Coach, I just want to play. I don't care what team I'm on. Let's go. So it was easy. And yeah, so that kind of mentality, that kind of team first, do whatever it takes mentality, combined with, the talent of the player. I mean, every team's going to want that guy in their locker room. I mean, he's just kind of a no-nonsense, kid, that blue-collar dude that the teams are going to want. So, yeah, he helped himself a ton, made a lot of money.
Jim Nagy has been our guest, executive director of the Reese's Senior Bowl. Jim, once again, a congratulations to you and to your entire team. You guys crush it. We wish we could have gotten down there this year. Hope to be back next year. And it is so fun to follow along and watch what you guys are doing, even from up here in Nashville. So credit to you guys, and appreciate you always making time for us. Thank you.
No, thanks for having me on, and hopefully we can do it as we get closer to the draft or maybe after the draft. But always love coming on with you guys.
Absolutely.
Appreciate it.
There he is, Jim Nagy, with us this morning here on RKW, talking about a number of outstanding prospects and the standard of all-star bowl games going into the draft. Those guys crush it.
Awesome, man. He's so great.
That is an interview that we will save in a folder, and when the Titans draft inevitably someone that we've talked about with Jim,
Yeah.
we'll have it for you the day after.
No doubt.
That's for sure. 615-737-1045. We'll get to more of your submissions on You're Not That Guy. Catch up on more headlines. Nick Saban headed to game day. Mike Vrabel headed to college football in some capacity, perhaps as well. We'll talk about it next. What's going on? It's Will Bowling here for my friends at Lee Company. Hey, is your heating system keeping up with the cold weather of winter? Well, available 24/7, 365. The professional Lee Company team is here to help. And look, the best time to make sure your heating system is ready for cold weather is when it feels a little bit nicer outside, right? If you've lived in Middle Tennessee for more than 20 minutes, you know that, yeah, even though it's a little warm out right now, we're still going to get a cold blast probably any day now. Well, Lee Company, they are here to help. Their technicians will perform a 22-point inspection as well as seasonal cleaning and maintenance to keep your home running efficiently this winter. Even better, save $20 on your next heating tune-up visit today. That's $20 off on your home's next heating service. All you got to do is remember this phone number, 615-567-1000. That's how you contact Lee Company. Their website is great as well, online at leecompany.com. Schedule an appointment there to keep your home's heating in check at 615-567-1000. Lee Company, all you need. Thursday morning rolls on to wrap up hour 3 on RKW. We are brewed up by 8th and Roast. We'll reset the headlines coming up in 15 minutes. Mike Vrabel likely headed to college football in some capacity. We can also take a look at Tennessee's path to a number 1 seed, which got a little bit easier after a 20-point win last night. 615-737-1045, our number as we roll on with You're Not That Guy here in hour 3. Let's go to Ryan in Lebanon, who is up next. Hey, Ryan.
What up, Ryan?
Hey, what's up, guys? Good morning.
Good morning.
So my You're Not That Guy goes to one Mr. Trevor Lawrence for getting his ass beat in table tennis last night.
Sure did.
Tighten up.
Awesome.
Sure did. Just like the football game, Trevor Lawrence takes an L to the Titans in the month of January or February.
Sorry, Trev.
That was simple right there, too, man. Goodness.
I love it. Efficient. Get in, make your point, get out. That's an A-plus call from Ryan.
Boom.
I'm talking about extra credit given if he wants it. Yeah, very seasoned vet.
Jason in Murfreesboro next. 615-737-1045. What up, Jason?
Good morning, guys. Good morning.
Morning.
I got something special for you guys this morning. I wanted to say I got a not You're Not That Guy, but I also want to reach out to give a shout out to the best new producer in the world, Mr. Burt. Mr. Burt, and sorry, Jadarius Schaefer, you're not that guy. But hit that music there, Burt.
Oh.
Meet me in Tennessee, it's going down. Meet me in Virginia, it's going down. Meet me in the courtroom, it's going down. Meet me in, soon enough, the NCAA is going down.
There you go. He's back.
Jason in Murfreesboro, dropping a promo.
I think Drake would be proud.
What? Jason, he's going to get a record deal right now.
On stage tonight, Jason.
Jason already had to go because he's actually getting a call from OVO Records to open up for the concert today.
I love it.
Well,
wow.
No matter how you rate that, Jason, you getting 100 from me on the basis
Right?
that you jumped on air and did it.
Meet me in the court. It's going down.
The NCAA is going down.
If you're from Virginia, you're going down. Hey, I'm here for it, Jason. They said do not show up to court next Tuesday, though. Do not.
Please don't
Yeah,
go.
that would
Show
not
up
be
to
good.
court.
The best part was that YouTube just didn't hear the music, so it's just Jason.
No
Oh,
music.
that's right.
No music.
Good.
No music.
Hey, bus trips used to be lit, man.
Okay, I give him even more
For the
credit.
culture.
That's what I'm saying, Caleb.
For the culture.
We can't get
Heck
flagged
yeah.
out here, man.
615-737-1045 if you want to try to top that. Musical stylings of Jason.
Let's go.
Things I'm here for. It. Okay.
Yeah, that's right.
Yep.
100%, dog.
Are you here for Nick Saban joining College Game Day? Because that's a thing that's
That was a
happening.
given.
I live that life.
Worst
I'm
kept
okay
secret
with
in college football.
Right?
it. They say he was getting. I guess he can get away if he only supposed to be there Thursday to Saturday.
Well, he showcased his terrible golf swing yesterday at the Waste Management on the celebrities taking shots on 16 day yesterday. So he's still chilling and playing golf.
Please tell me there was some Vols fans or SEC fans that just booing him for the hell
I'm sure
of
there
it.
were.
I'm sure. Well, he played with Travis Scott the other day. Did you see that?
Yeah, I did see that with
Played a
Travis
round of
Scott.
golf.
Okay,
Sure
yeah.
did. Yep, him and Bun B.
It's a
bunch
dynamic duo.
Slim Thug was out there with him. I wondered, did he call him Slim or did he call him Thug? Hey, Thug, you're up next.
He called him Mr. Slim Thug. You know he called him Mr. Slim Thug.
Yeah, Mr. Slim. Sir.
Sir.
Sir Slim Thug.
He was out there with them.
It is interesting,
it,
though.
though.
I think it'll be great.
Yeah.
I will say, well, the same thing I love seeing the retired players, like when Kobe was becoming like a social star. You know what I'm saying? I love that we can love them as human beings after the fact. So I might become, nope, I'm not saying it on the radio. I'll just admire what Nick Saban does in
Right.
retirement.
Maybe Miss Terry gets to now come along and kind of get the chance to see him a little more, but
Yeah.
like she can just like enjoy the loveliness of like traveling as a TV personality.
Catch him Sunday through Wednesday. I mean,
I know.
Thursday through Saturday, he's probably locked in production. So, yeah, they got a little bit more time.
They've been married long enough. You know she's probably happy
She's
when
like,
he
get
leaves the house.
out.
That was the exact quote Nick had when asked, I think 2 years ago, about retiring. He said, Terry's not ready to have me around the house that much.
I think that's probably
Miss
true.
Terry, I hear you.
Yeah.
Head of the household. Coming up next, we'll get to more headlines. Mike Vrabel reportedly headed to college football. And on college hoops, is Tennessee headed to the number 1 line after a win over LSU and a North Carolina loss at home to Clemson earlier this week. Fourth and final hour of the show next.
Hey, are you sick and tired of achy joints? Dread the idea of surgery? Because I've had it and I know I don't want to do that again. Well, you can call QC Kinetics today. It is Kayla Anderson. And listen, the state of healthcare always changing, as we all know. And the old ideas like steroids, like surgery, no longer your only options. Regenerative medicine at QC Kinetics is simply transforming people's lives with innovative, non-surgical, drug-free treatments. And they deliver lasting results. That's the best part about it. So let's say you're dealing with that knee pain, back pain, shoulder pain, and then this time of year when it gets cold, you're feeling that arthritis possibly from an old injury. Let's get that fixed and let's not have that pain keep you from living your best life. QC Kinetics advanced state-of-the-art treatments can harness and direct your body's natural ability to restore and repair damaged joint tissue. This is a revolutionary approach that can get you long-term relief and no downtime. So make 2024 the year you reclaim your mobility back. Go ahead and give them a call now to schedule your free consultation. It's simple, 615-249-4024. Call them at 615-249-4024.
Just about 9 o'clock. Good morning from the 104.5 The Zone Studios. I am Robert Walsh. The Chiefs making their final preparations for the big game on Sunday, activating wide receiver Sky Moore and placing defensive end Charles Omenihu on injured reserve with a torn ACL. Omenihu was injured in the AFC Championship game against Baltimore. Sky Moore has been out since the Chiefs' 27-17 win over the Patriots in Foxborough. Very rarely do prospects ever answer the question, where would you like to be drafted? But Brock Bowers did not buck the question when being interviewed by Chris Sims and Mike Florio.
Well, I know you can't control it, but if you could, where would you want to go?
Whoever wants to take me. I mean, it's hard to say. I'd love to go to.
He wants the Niners to get rid of Kittle, and then he wants to go to the 49ers.
I'd be all right.
Let him say it.
I'd be all right with going to the Tennessee Titans. I mean, I liked it down in the Georgia, Tennessee area. I thought it was cool, but yeah, that'd be a cool spot to be.
You hear that, Titans?
You hear that, Titans? Yeah, we hear you, Florio. College hoops, the Vols dominated LSU 88-68. Dalton Connect finished with a game-high 27 points, 7 rebounds, and 6 assists. For all your foundation repair and waterproofing needs, visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and the Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
Fourth and final hour of the show starts right now on your Thursday morning edition. We are Ramon, Kayla, and Will RKW. Ramon Foster, Kayla Anderson, Will Bowling, Robert Walsh behind the glass, hitting all the right buttons, including ours. And we are fueled by the best coffee in Nashville, caffeinated and opinionated with 8th and Roast Coffee. Locations on 8th Avenue, Charlotte, the airport, and the Broadview at Vanderbilt. 8th and Roast cultivates community by the cup. 615-737-1045 is how you jump in. In the F&M Bank chat is where you can hit the comment section and have your thoughts seen by our eyes. Facebook Live, YouTube, Twitter, or Twitch.
Twitch release.
Hit the subscribe button while you are there and never miss a minute of your favorite radio program in the United States of America.
No doubt about it, man. We in this thing, baby.
Number 4 on the list of Barrett Sports Media, number 1 in your hearts.
There we go. Big heart.
Absolutely big heart. We got 2 number 2s and a number 5.
Yeah.
Everybody's holding their own top 5.
Let's go.
There we go.
Top
baby.
5, no debating.
No debating. I wish
Period.
they would try to debate. Men lie. Women lie. Numbers don't.
There you go.
We'll take that.
Mike Vrabel to college football. Does that make the most sense for things that he could be doing? Because it sounds like that's where he's headed. As Luke Fickell, Wisconsin head coach, former Cincinnati coach, former Ohio State guy alongside Mike Vrabel, tells ESPN Wisconsin that the former Titans coach would be around his Wisconsin program in some capacity this spring. Luke Fickell saying, I talked to him, I think, on Saturday, and we hadn't communicated for probably a week or so, just as the process was going. And he sounded like a new man. And I'm not sure exactly if this was his choice or what it is that the future really looks like. But I know that we're going to have a visitor here, and that's going to spend a little bit of time, hopefully around us starting coming in the spring and things like that, and see how deep we can get involved with my buddy and getting him around here.
So, background with those two, they are literally brothers. Like, not, in blood, but the two have the Ohio State connection where they were with each other. They've coached together up there. The respect is very, very mutual. And so this is not surprising at all. What I think is interesting, though, is do you feel like with Mike Vrabel not getting a head coach job in the NFL, he's dabbling possibly in the fact that, okay, could I be a fit in college football as a head coach in the future if I don't end up going back to the NFL even next year? And I have heard plenty of things going on up there in Columbus, Ohio, about the future of Ryan Day after this season. If it does not trend in the direction that people want it to trend in with Ryan Day, could Mike Vrabel in the future be possibly the guy that takes his place. And I think this is a way to be around football first and foremost for Vrabel. But I think it also could be a way that he's kind of like, do I really think I could do this? Oh. With the new age college football, I'm going to get a firsthand opinion and feel it up there in Wisconsin with my buddy.
I think Ryan Day is going to be fired.
If it does not trend in the direction, Ramon, this next season, yes.
Oh, wow.
I still just don't think Mike Vrabel's a fit as a college football head coach. I just don't think he has any interest in it.
But maybe he's trying to see if he would.
Yeah, I look at it as like maybe he needs a new set of eyes on coaching. Like in college, you almost have to cater to your players just as much now. Mm-hmm. The recruiting aspect of what will be required of Vrabel in today's game. I know you said Joshua Perry played for him. How far back was that? That was before transfer. That was before NIL. And you have more of a stronghold on your players and what they could and cannot do. Not saying that it's not possible, but just looking at what it requires as far as the control goes, as far as having the ability to stay – pretty much train up young men to be men and go into the world. I can see that being the case. Ohio State, to me, probably has a professional mindset when it comes down to how they operate, too. So if he see Ryan Day or the other position coaches interact with their players the way some would suggest that he should interact with pros, maybe that's what he needs for his career. It's hard for NFL coaches that's been in as long as Vrabel to go back sometimes. I know Matt Rule has, and a couple other guys have dabbled in it, but it's such a gauntlet these days.
Nick Saban.
Yeah, he was built for college football.
In today's college football, when you've got sitting college football head coaches like at Boston College taking coordinator jobs in the NFL because they, A, want to get paid more, and B, just don't want to deal with NIL and deal with this era of recruiting. Mike Vrabel's personality, I don't think there's any chance he is a college football head coach anytime soon.
I will say, though, when they had, I won't even speak of his name anymore because he's just done some really not great stuff. But when we were up there and covering that team in 2014, Urban Meyer, there you go. He controls everything up there, and they allow him to control everything up there. And look, he brought him a national championship. But if you talk to anybody at that time that played for him, while they respected him and thought he was a great coach, he was tough. And he did have major control. And I think that's the one thing where I leave the door open a little bit for Mike Vrabel is I think he knows he could have complete control. And while it wouldn't be of NIL and that stuff is different, I feel like maybe you get in the right people to just deal with that, and then he can do all the rest of the controlling aspect of his team.
Because if it's that control word, and I'm not sure how true or false it is,
or who
they were
either.
talking about as far as I'm just cleaning it up in the fact that that's what's been speculated, his intimidation factor and stuff like that. That's why I was asking those questions to Rand about like the staff that you hire with Callahan, like their ability to connect, the ability to communicate. And he let it be known that, when it came down to Brian Callahan setting the structure for Zach Taylor, he was communicating with the players, with your T. Higgins, with your Jamar Chases, with your Orlando Brown Juniors and stuff like that were very much communicating with him in a fashion that today's athlete does. And if you have that connection, it makes it easier for you to, transition. Mm-hmm. And if that intimidation factor is a part of Vrabel, if these kids got an option, especially if the NCAA brings up lifts the rule that they can transfer at any point in time. Hey, you can't leave. The hell you mean I can't leave? What do you mean?
And Ryan Day's been, I guess he's great. I guess he's super personable. Like, players do love him. It's just he can't get certain wins checked in terms of the box against Michigan. But you're right, Ramon. Like, I don't know if he can adapt to the new age player necessarily.
He's going to have to.
But he's going to have to if he wants a head coaching job anywhere.
If that is
100%
true.
Yes.
With Harbaugh leaving, with the transfers Ryan Day and Ohio State have added, and with all the talent they have in that locker room next year, I think Ohio State is the best non-SEC team with a chance to win a national championship next season. I don't know if it's particularly close. They will likely start preseason 2 or 3 behind Georgia and what all they have coming back. And I think Georgia, as it stands right now, is the favorite to win another national championship this next year. And we're probably the best team in college football this year. They just stumbled at the worst possible moment to the greatest coach in the history of the sport, which happens. But I think Ohio State and Ryan Day have a get-back year this year. I don't think he's going anywhere. I really do. I understand why the pressure's on him, and I don't doubt that there's whispers around there. But there were the same whispers about Jim Harbaugh until things changed. Urban Meyer got out, and all of a sudden, his path to winning national championships was a lot easier. Is now the shoe on the other foot, where Jim Harbaugh, in a way, is Urban Meyer, the coach that just won a national championship and is now going to make the jump. I know it wasn't 1 year after another when he made the jump to Jacksonville, but still, it's fascinating to see what happens in that conference and how Dan Lanning in Oregon and maybe Washington, I doubt it, can stay in the picture without Kalen DeBoer. But that's a fascinating conference this year. It really is.
And even them, I mean, Alabama's still them and got most of their recruits and stuff
Absolutely.
like that. We'll see what it's going to look like. But if for anything, he just need to be an analyst. He need to put his eyes on the game if he's going to go back to college football.
Yep.
Tennessee's path to a number 1 seed got a little bit clearer last night with an 88-68 win over LSU in Thompson Bowling Arena. Tennessee has never been a 1 seed, but they have been a 5 seed or higher in all 5 NCAA tournament appearances, of course, under Rick Barnes. Tennessee is so often like the top 2 seed. Feels like every time it's in that fight, and Tennessee ends up being the top 2 seed. Joe Lunardi wrote Wednesday night that Tennessee could move to the 1 line in his latest projection by blowing out LSU. And that's exactly what they did. 88-68. 27 points from Dalton Knecht, 17 from Zakai Ziegler, 18 from Jordan Gainey off the bench. And an opportunity now to move up to number 1.
Yeah.
We'll see.
And I was listening to Bob Kelsey and them real quick last night, too, and they were just speaking about some of the stuff that Tennessee was forcing LSU to do. You know, like their turnovers. They're usually a low turnover team. Tennessee last night has been one of the lowest turnover squads also last night. Their ability to get up and down the court and how Tennessee was able to just really stuff them when it came down to them going hard as they usually do. They beat LSU apparently at their own game last night, and they spoke a lot about the character of the team. Just listen to Bob describe some of that stuff, of course, traveling with them and calling every game. He has a different outlook and perspective on it. So I was really in tune to how Tennessee beat LSU last night. But, of course, they got a stretch that's got to get real serious at the end of the season.
Sure do. At South Carolina, at Alabama, Auburn at home, and Kentucky at home. Not in that order, but those are the last 4 games where they will finish the season. Auburn does beat Alabama by 18, putting up 99 points last night. Joe Lunardi last night going into those games had Auburn as a 4 seed and Alabama as a 3 seed. So the potential for those guys to flip. But Joe Lunardi did write yesterday, Alabama will maintain its 3 seed, win or lose at Auburn. So Lunardi had Tennessee as the 5th best team right behind Purdue, UConn, Houston, Arizona as the 1 seeds at the moment, with Tennessee right in front of North Carolina. So going to be right in the picture.
Yep.
But Tennessee's season will be defined by those last 4 games, at least regular season-wise. And ultimately, the home loss to South Carolina might cost them an SEC championship. But again, like we talked about, it's worth losing the SEC hardware if you learn a lesson that helps you get to a Final Four for the first time. Coming up next, we'll talk a little Super Bowl. 615-737-1045. If you've got a bold prediction for the Super Bowl coming up this weekend, we have got our Thursday 3. Every bet is worth 2, and every bet is on the Super Bowl. We have tasked everyone on the show to come up with a Super Bowl parlay where every leg has got to be between plus 100, what did we say, minus 150? That's what it was? I think that's what it was. Plus 100.
I thought it was 200, but maybe not.
So what if I had
plus 100 and minus 200? Sure.
And we can talk about the semantics on the other side.
Coming up next on RKW.
I thought he actually went to break.
Hey, y'all, it's Ramon Foster for Scoreboard Bar and Grill. Score big this Sunday at Scoreboard Sunday Fun Day Extravaganza from 2 to 5 p.m., all right? Join us for an unforgettable performance by the Spasmatics as they bring the house down with their high-energy tunes. Then get ready to catch all the Super Bowl action on their massive 10 by 5 foot video screens. The next big thing to being at the game, but that's not all. Kick off your day with a delicious Bloody Mary bar to fuel your fun. And don't forget to feast on their mouth-watering menu featuring game day favorites and a full spread of tantalizing treats. After the game, also stick around for live music to keep the party vibes going strong. And don't forget about the Nashville Palace. This week, they're bringing you the ultimate country experience with line dancing lessons and the biggest dance party on Friday and Saturday nights. But the fun doesn't just stop there. You can indulge in the full food menu packed with the favorites while enjoying live music every day on the front room. And don't miss out on the delicious brunch spread served up every Saturday and Sunday morning. Whether you're two-stepping or just looking for some down-home hospitality, Nashville Palace and Scoreboard is the place to be.
Thursday morning, rolling right along in hour number 4 of RKW. We are brewed by 8th and Roast. 615-737-1045. It is time to make you some U.S. dollars. American money. The green kind.
Some money to blow.
It's been a minute since we've done Thursday 3, and I'm looking back at our records. I do not remember if we've updated this record or not. So the last thing I have on here is Bert 35-22, Kayla 33-23-1. I'm 28-28-1. And Ramon is 15-42 with the 5-game deficit he took for Steelers money line not hitting.
It's the last one we did.
Is that something that the world needed to know?
Yeah, it is. I'm just trying to remember if I updated the records in this.
Yeah, you did.
I think that's correct.
Oh, now everybody's together, huh? Okay.
I thought Ramon was a little lower than that.
I don't think I did. Because I don't think I was 3 games above 500. I don't think I was 28-25. Then I went 0-3 on Texans covering against the Ravens, Bills covering the Chiefs, and then Lions-Bucks.
So you think you're back to being 28-28?
No, I think I'm back to 28-31.
Oh, okay.
Oh, yeah,
okay.
I think that's right.
I don't know.
That's right.
Like
I have no idea. We just haven't bet in a while.
We hadn't been betting.
I don't remember.
We definitely took a break.
Because Bert you went 1 and we all had rough weeks. Ramona and I went 0-3. Which half of that's not surprising.
Why would you?
And then Robert and Kayla went 1-2, divisional weekend. I don't know. I can just keep it the way it is. We can make this one work.
No, you should adjust.
Let's make this one work.
Or you know what? Maybe I'll adjust it again because playoffs should count more anyway.
Sure.
So worst case scenario, I just make that round worth 2. So let me do some tabulating. I was told there would be no math. 36-24 is Bert. Kayla goes to 34-25-1. Just a half game back of Bert in first.
Barely above 500.
I go down to 28-31-1.
Okay.
And Ramon Foster goes to. Oh, that's right. You did college basketball at one point that weekend.
Baylor.
You went 1-2 actually that weekend. You went 0-3 the week before.
Why?
Hey, you got another win out of it.
16-44.
Why do you have to?
That's like Leonardo DiCaprio's dating range. 16-44.
I am
more
not
like
making a
16 to
joke
20.
about that.
Oh, man.
I don't know if it goes above 30.
I'm shutting up on that one.
Well, honestly, no. What it really is he's 44 and he's.
Is he 44?
I probably can't say that next part. I might get sued. He might hire
he's
Brett Favre's
50.
lawyers to come read all the stuff.
Like
okay, anyway.
Why did you have to say my record like that? And you said it last.
Accountability, Ramon Foster. That actually, in all seriousness, though, that is a thing, though, of like in the betting world, like if you're going to tell people, hey, bet with me, like there is kind of like a little bit of a duty to the people to tell them what your record is.
Yep.
And then you're also supposed to actually bet what you're saying.
Mm-hmm.
That way you're not telling people to bet something that you wouldn't also do yourself, which puts me in a quandary today. Because one of my picks involves the Chiefs winning the Super Bowl, and I don't think I'm actually going to bet that because I don't want to cheer for the Chiefs.
Interesting.
And if you're someone who don't have a gambling problem, call the Tennessee Red Line, 1-800-889-9789. But, like, that's not a good way to live, by the way. Like, don't just bet something because you want to cheer for it. Yeah. Like, there are system plays, as in, am I watching the game? Yes? Okay, I'm betting the over. Like, that's, like, a kind of a toxic way to look at it. So I don't encourage that. However, I don't know. Anyway. All right, so anything minus 200 or worse odds, essentially, is what we're saying. Because Bert asked in the break, can I bet something that's, like, very unlikely? Like, yeah, your funeral, I guess. I don't know.
Since
this is parlay rules, does every one of these have to hit to get the 2 points for it?
No.
Okay,
So each bet is individually made. And again, I guess I should give the disclaimer, too, that doing all of this, like, we're not including Ramon in the you should bet with what we're saying thing because because you work with Titans Radio is why I'm saying that. I'm saying Ramon is not breaking any betting
very
rules.
terrible better, you know.
Let me put the disclaimer out there that we are following all the rules set out in front of us and all of these things. That's why I'm giving your disclaimer.
That's fair. I appreciate that.
Thank you.
Who's kicking this bad boy off?
Should be you. You're in first.
I wanted to
got a half game lead.
We doing all 3 here, or are we just doing one?
I'll go last.
Let's go one by one. Let's go one by one. Should we? All right. Do we want to make it worth 2 points? I feel like we could make this more interesting if we make it worth 3 each.
That doesn't matter to me.
No, because then what is our whole year worth of betting
Well,
go to?
that's American sports. We live in America.
Man.
That's the way it works.
Don't take that away from
Virginia
us.
had 3 losses, and they lost to UMBC. And Ramon in UNBC sitting right over there.
Yep, sure was.
16 seed Foster.
All of Ramon's bets count for 100.
Oh, God.
My first bet of the day, I'm going to go with what I think
tonight
is the safer of my 3 bets. Mahomes' rushing attempts. I'm going to take the over because rushing attempts does not have to be a forward run. Rushing attempts can be a kneel down. That counts as an attempt. So I think that the Kansas City Chiefs, the number is at 4.5. So if they take 3 kneel downs at even the end of the half, he could hit the rushing attempts over. So Mahomes rushing attempts over. I'm taking the over on 4.5.
That's why you're in first.
Okay.
We'll make it worth 2. All these are worth 2. So
perfect.
All right. So I am going to go with Isaiah Pacheco, who I know will probably give the 49ers a little bit of a fit. They have not been extremely great against the run. Now, I think they'll be better. This is a Super Bowl performance. You got to be on your A game. But with saying that, I still think Isaiah Pacheco will have a good game. So I'm going to go over the 66.5 yards on the ground for Pacheco.
So I've got that one as 67.5 because I'm doing the same bet.
Okay.
So
over the course of the game?
Yeah.
Okay.
Over 67.5
Only
rushing
his
yards.
first rush, Ramon. He has to
Yeah,
rush
just
for
his
over,
first one.
He has to rush for over
Where's a knife?
66
I need a
So
knife.
the 49ers through their 2 playoff games have allowed 158 rushing yards per game and 5.6 rushing yards per attempt. And for the same reason, I'm going to take Isaiah Pacheco over 67.5 rushing.
Mm-hmm. All right. It's on me now?
Okay.
It is on you
I'm
now.
going my most mild bet so far, okay? Super Bowl MVP Patrick Mahomes plus 150. That suffices. I'm dropping that one down.
Passing yards?
Hey,
I don't hate that.
Book that, okay? Book that one.
it.
All right?
God, Travis Kelce's winning MVP now, y'all. How does that make you feel? Since Ramon's betting Patrick Mahomes.
What honestly Ramon should do is just take all of our bets and do the opposite because that is the way you could make up ground at this point. Like it's kind of like when you're a golfer on 18 and you've got a 1-shot lead, you're just going to play it safe, and the guy behind you has got to go for it.
Hey,
just go for it, man.
This is a radio show and not a charity case, okay? I'm not you guys' charity case for betting, okay? Although I will take some.
I'm over here minding my business.
Robert Walsh, second pick.
Back at the top of the order, a bet that did not hit that well in the regular season, but has been killing it in the postseason. Travis Kelce over receptions.
Yep.
That's one of mine.
He did not, at a 10 out of 12 games in the regular season, he did not cover the over. But in the last 2 playoff games, he has covered his over. It is at 6.5 as I have it. If it was 7.5, I might not take it.
Stand by for news.
Oh, gosh. Fingers crossed.
It's going to take me a second. There's so many props.
Dude, when I was looking
man.
through these yesterday, man, it was insane.
There are genuinely so many props.
When I was looking at other players, you would think, and I might include this if the number changes, but Noah Gray, his over receptions is at 1.5, and his yards is at 12.5.
Gosh, this is an easy bet.
He has not dropped. Oh, what's it at now?
It's over 6.5 is the line, but it's minus 150.
You got that.
No, just take it. It's fine. As we said, minus 200 or better.
No, okay, if you're going to let me take it, I'll take it.
Yeah.
So you're going to take receptions. Then I'll be different, just not to go on the same thing. So I'll go with Travis Kelce. And I do like the notion of he just shows up in the postseason and especially the big games. He is the kind of blanket for Patrick Mahomes. So with saying that, I'll go over 70.5 receiving yards. And that might be changed.
2.5 is the line now.
2.5.
Okay.
So that's a popular bet.
Yeah, I'll do it.
Okay.
Okay.
Let's go.
You all right over there?
I'm just talking it up.
I will stay with I'll stay with the Travis Kelce theme and go a Travis Kelce anytime touchdown at plus 100. It's in the script, guys.
Absolutely. It is.
In the script. Roger Goodell wants Travis Kelce and Taylor Swift kissing under the confetti. So he's going to score. They're going to make sure he scores.
See,
I don't know who they is, but they're going to make sure.
Y'all, you know the problem with y'all and y'all bets today for Sunday?
Give it to us.
Is y'all playing around, okay? Y'all out here just want to watch the entirety of the game. I'm trying to cash out before halftime.
Sure.
What color is Gatorade going to be, Mom?
You feel me? Hey, don't worry about it, sweetheart, okay? Don't worry about it. What I'm telling you is this. Isaiah Pacheco, 30-plus yards and a half plus 200. Book it, okay?
Yep.
Color of the Gatorade, orange.
All right, so what was the bet?
I'm going blue.
Isaiah Pacheco, 30-plus yards and a half, 200 plus 200.
Yep.
I'm trying to. Hey, look, I'm trying to win this thing. You
Before
feel me?
it's even done.
Before it's even done, I win before they pass out rings and confetti.
So you should do the national anthem. How long it will be?
I didn't even see that one. I had to find that bet right there. Will.
I found it. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's Caesars. I found it.
See how you?
I don't use them.
Yeah.
FanDuel.
I'll take it. It's plus 200, and this is the charity I'll give you, is I won't double check it. So what was it again?
Plus
Pacheco?
200. Isaiah Pacheco, 30-plus yards and a half. He getting that in the first quarter.
And that's just rushing?
Yeah, just rushing.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
What's up with all the snickering and
Why are you doing plus? You could do minus 200 bets that are so easy.
Yeah. And Mo's like, you know
You
what?
He's like, I'm going big dog.
Yes, I am. Yes, I
Big
am.
dog.
Walking into y'all. If y'all said I'm plus 100 if I win on each bet.
I'm trying to get in a survivor
That's not what you said.
He's making up his own
Not even
rules.
a
I
little
love
bit
it.
what we said.
I love it.
Robert Walsh, the final pick.
My final pick. It is my riskiest bet, but just like Moan, you're going to know after the first play of the game whether this hits or
I love
not.
this so much.
Will the opening kickoff be taken out of the end zone? Yes is minus money. No is plus 235. All Harrison Butker or the 49ers kicker, whatever the hell his name is
Moody.
from Michigan, either one of those dudes, all they got to do is kick it out the back of the end zone, and you make between $235 and $250 between in what book you're looking at. It's going out the back of the end zone. I don't care what anybody says. They're not taking it out. Put your money on it. The opening kickoff will not be taken out of the end
I
zone.
don't trust that bet.
That's my big bet.
No, I don't trust it. Because why I got to waste my camera flashes on somebody fair catching it, Bert? I'm telling you, man, don't put your money on that, dog. Who you going to listen to me, your record or me?
I plead the fifth. Fifth. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Goodness, man.
Come on, Bert. God, live a little, man.
So we are in a state, by the way, speaking of Gatorade color, where you are not allowed to bet novelty props in the state of Tennessee. So betting by state. So coin toss, you can't bet on the coin toss in Tennessee. Can't bet on Gatorade color, national anthem, halftime show, MVP. You can. And then you cannot, or you can vote on negative outcomes, but like there are not.
You can do the negatives.
Well, on certain sports books,
yeah.
on certain ones you can't, is what I was going to say. So there are other bets of like how many times they'll show Taylor Swift.
Right.
And those are not allowed in any U.S. state.
So our
technically.
state got
But you can still-
integrity when it comes down to betting.
Of course it does.
Yeah.
Right?
Whatever.
I'll go through some of my favorite random specials after we all pick. So
Okay, my final one. I am going to go ahead. Patrick Mahomes. Let's do the over on 1.5 passing TDs by Kermit.
Okay.
Okay. It's my risky one, but I'm going for it.
That's risky. What's the what they got on it? You know?
I mean, again, you're putting
that one's minus
Pacheco-
140.
Oh,
Pacheco
That ain't risky
has
enough.
obviously.
that ain't risky enough. Kevin.
You don't think so?
That ain't risky.
Okay.
enough.
Well, I'm gonna still go with Kermit in that.
That ain't risky enough. You wait till you hear my bet.
Oh, let's go.
You got to wait in the back of the line.
Let's go.
Why? Well,
Because you acted up in class and the teacher put you at the back of the line.
maybe
You're
I
bad
like
at
being
betting.
in the back of the classroom. Color more.
Chiefs plus 2.5. Doesn't make me feel good. I feel dirty doing it. It's what the NFL wants. All these things, yada yada yada. I don't really believe that.
Oh,
It's
man,
just
I'm
kind
going
of a fun
opposite.
joke. But it's one of those where you have to think about how you're going to feel after the game. Because if the Chiefs win this game, we're all going to look at ourselves in the mirror and say, "Why in the world did I bet against Patrick Mahomes? Why did I do it?" And so I'm helping my future self, and I'm taking the pick that is right in front of us that is as simple as it could be. And I overthought it in Bills Chiefs, and I'm not going to do it again. You do not bet against Patrick Mahomes this time of year.
But now I think it's gonna come punch us all in the face because we keep saying, well, we don't bet against Patrick Mahomes, and then we keep saying it, and then boom.
Can't do it.
Eli Manning ain't out there, baby.
Plus 2.5 Chiefs. Book it. Unfortunately. I'm not going to cheer for it, though. Not going to feel good about it. I'm just going to collect my money and That's going to be it.
Mm-hmm.
Ramon Foster, what you got?
Y'all breathe with me here for a second, all right?
I'm so nervous about what you're about to do to us.
So we got to make this bread back, all right? 500 down on this one right here.
Oh, my God.
500 down.
What?
500 down. Y'all ready? Jawan Jennings,
Here it is.
25 plus yards in each half, plus 2,100.
Plus
my
25
goodness.
yards in each half?
Put
You
500
are
down.
So just, is it 25 and a half or 25?
25 plus in each half.
Yeah.
Okay.
50 yards
I
is
saw
all
that,
we need.
actually.
Well, no.
Or
Yeah.
does it mean you have to have
But
it
you have to
25,
have-
25?
No, it means you have to have 25 and 25.
Right.
Will, I know what I'm doing.
He can get 50 yards and
Big
have
spender
49
over
of them
here.
on one catch in the second half.
I know what I said. That's why it's plus 2,100.
All right. So
Put
what I'm gonna do for you?
down.
What I'm gonna do for you? I'm gonna offer you 10 bets on just that one. Just that one. If everyone agrees.
26.
Well, as
if
long
I
as he
win.
doesn't overtake my record.
Because plus 2,100, that's such a long bet that I'll give you 10 wins for that.
It ain't called winning, Will. It's called betting.
It's not called winning when you do it. That's correct.
I'm telling y'all,
All
man.
right. So
I'll
our
book it.
parlays.
They wouldn't make that bet if I couldn't win it.
Our parlays are Robert is going Mahomes over 4.5 rushing attempts, Kelsey over 6.5 receptions, and the opening kickoff not returned. Kayla will go Isaiah Pacheco over 67.5 rushing, Kelsey over 72.5 receiving yards, Mahomes over 1.5 passing touchdowns. I
love that.
I'll go Chiefs plus 2.5, Kelsey anytime touchdown, and a Pacheco over 67.5 rushing yards. And then Ramon, Patrick Mahomes MVP, Pacheco over 30.5 rushing yards in the first half, and Jawan Jennings,
He's
25 plus yards at each
He's
half.
out of his chair.
Ramon's going to go attack Robert.
Go
The
get him.
studio is opening. The door's opening. Robert is opening his control room door. Robert, turn your mic on so we can hear whatever he says.
I locked the door.
And put the,
You locked the door.
Put the video on so we can see that as well.
You can hear him. Yeah, oh, my goodness sakes.
Mama.
Ramon is actively trying to break into the control room.
No, leave me.
Give me one of these buttons to hit.
Ramon, that light is on. What you say can and will be used against you.
I love
He
it.
made
Oh,
me
my
hit
goodness.
the cash register.
I love it.
Oh my gosh. So there you go. There's your Thursday 3.
Let's
I don't
go.
know, we may have to find some kind of way to, I don't know, maybe we have like a basketball Thursday 3. I don't know. We'll see.
Door on me.
Yes,
He did. He did lock the door on you.
Lock
Lock
at
the
him
door.
dancing.
That's Ron
That's pretty
Slay said.
Your brother's in with you on that. but-
Yeah, Ron Slay in the F&M Bank chat says, I'm riding with you, Savage. Let's get this guaranteed money.
You
Guaranteed,
doggone
baby.
right. Oh, me oh my. Bert locked the door. That's a heavy door.
Your
too.
version of the parlay.
That was. We winning. Plus 2,100. 21.
21.
615-737-1045. We'll get to headlines we missed on the way out. Another look at Titans coaches who are expected to be retained. We'll wrap up the show. Coming up next.
Life is busy. We could all use some extra time in our day, which is exactly why Two Rivers Ford offers mobile service. We'll bring the service to your driveway at no additional charge. Oil changes, brakes, batteries, the certified technicians at Two Rivers will perform basic maintenance on your vehicle wherever you are, so you'll have more time for moments like this. Schedule your mobile service appointment by scanning the QR code or calling Two Rivers Ford today.
RKW is brewed by 8th and Roast on 104.5 The Zone as we wrap up the show. I mean, I know I just signed a deal, but I need my advance on the next one, too. They know I'm going to be around. It's the intro to this song. It's called Big Rings. It's from an album by Drake and Future. Favorite song on this album was Reporting Live from the Gutter. It's my favorite. Wow. This song came out freshman year at Tennessee. I was a walk-on and was not thriving first semester that fall. And I would listen to this on the way to practice to convince myself I was still a good athlete when, spoiler alert, I was literally terrible at the sport that I was in college to do. I literally listened to this album and be like, it's going to be a good day of practice. Good day of practice. Narrator, it was not a good day of practice.
Well, at least it got you going there.
At least. The other thing getting us going this morning is the 104.5 The Zone group text that has started.
Oh, my, I know.
Every host and producer on the daily lineup is in this. And can anyone give me cliff notes on what has been texted? Because there have been so many texts.
Where do you start?
Kirby's ability to find the best steak
yes,
in
that's
Vegas.
Right. He went to a buffet.
Yes.
For the best steak in Vegas.
They also have the best odds at those places, he said, too.
Yes.
The best odds. Sure. That is the most Kirby, I'm going to go to this place because it has the best odds of anywhere in Vegas.
Of course.
That's what Babsy said, Don Davenport. That's what she said he said. So
you know what's the most impressive?
What's that?
They're free. They were up at like 6 a.m.
They start doing interviews like 7:30. That doesn't surprise me.
Gotta get to it, baby.
Yeah.
There's no sleeping in Vegas.
No.
Oh, absolutely
not on Super Bowl Radio Row.
And casinos make you walk into rooms that you can't see outside in.
There are so many people. Yeah, that's right. There are so many people that just walk around that aren't really wanting to do a lot of interviews, but you just kind of flag them down and see if they'll come by for 5 minutes and walk and talk with the microphone and see who you can get. That they usually start around 8. In LA when we did it, because Buck's show was obviously 10 to 1, we were there. We would start the show at 8, his show. So we'd be there. Kirby and I'd meet there at like 7 that morning every day when we did it in Los Angeles when I went with him. Yeah.
Because the business got to be sent out for everybody as far as the networks and stuff like that. Okay, that makes the most sense.
The peak of it's around noon, but yeah, it starts early. Starts really early.
Yeah.
Vegas would be a tough place to do Radio Row.
I was just going to say, it doesn't get started till 4 a.m. then.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah. Especially if you're going to go out also. And I know Kirby was burning down the strip last night.
Not the strip club, but just the strip.
Oh, I mean, it's legal there. Whatever you want to in Vegas, baby. At least partying anyway. I want to see Kirby in a section with bottles. That's all I want is bottle section for Kirby. Somebody make that happen, please, for me.
Buck?
Yeah, somebody.
Reports yesterday that multiple NFL teams, according to Justin Millow, writing for the Draft Network covering the NFL, that multiple teams have requested interviews with Titans run game coordinator Justin Alton for various roles on their staff, including run game coordinator. Justin Millow writes the Titans have declined those interview requests per league sources. Brian Callahan may retain him. Paul Kaharski writing that Chris Harris and Lori Locust, the other two coaches that he thinks could still be retained as well.
That's big time right there for the Titans. Some stability, some known faces that would potentially stick around. I said this earlier when we spoke about it. It says a lot about Alton. Also, I got to give credit where credit's due, too. If we, all the stuff that we've had to say about Shane Bowen, the fact that he's actually at a position, a coordinator position still, I think you got to tip your hat to him also as far as one of this group of guys that's been let go here in Nashville.
And we'll see what he does. I mean, we'll see what he does with the Giants, right?
Did enough with tricking them so far.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And away from Vrabel, because that was a Vrabel guy, 100% with that. And I wish him success. I really do. I like Shane Bowen a lot. We'll see how he does it over there. But it's always good to know there's a few faces coming back. And this isn't like out of the norm when coaches leave. Sometimes they do maintain those coaches. Arthur Smith, when he was maintained here through a lot of the coaching changes. And Lori Locust, Chris Harris, and Otten. I think those are good names that they could possibly keep, like you were saying.
So going into Super Bowl weekend, do y'all hate the Chiefs as much as I do?
They're just annoying. Like, I won't use the word hate necessarily, but I will say I'm sick of them winning the Super Bowl, Will. I am.
Me, not at all. Not even this. It doesn't bother me. Not even like Taylor Swift.
That doesn't
absolutely
bother
not.
me.
Yeah, I don't care about that.
And here's my thing. So I like the a-hole that Patrick Mahomes is somewhat becoming.
And I
do.
don't dislike him.
No, it's when
I
you
do.
become that good, you do have to start like the Jordan rule. Jordan got a little bit more of a villain role with how he got calls, and I think we're just watching him becoming greater in this transitioning into being longer, being in this league longer. I think this naturally happens to everybody who is great. Peyton somewhat had that stigma around him. Hey, he's hard to work with. It's his way or no way. Brady has had it. Aaron Rodgers has had it, although he's only got one Super Bowl, more than I do, but he only got one Super Bowl. Like when you're that caliber player, you take those types of steps. And I think that's the case for him. And that happens to most people in all sports too.
As much as he whines, though, I don't see him as that. I see him as just whiny.
Do you?
I do.
I feel you on
the
that.
way he cries after getting hit in the head on a slide, and the way he's always yelling about defensive holding and pass interference. Nobody gets away with more offensive pass interferences than his tight end. So for him to be complaining about guys grabbing his receivers, granted, he could have handled his receivers being terrible a lot worse, and he could have thrown Valdez-Scantling under the bus. He could have thrown Kadarius Toney under the bus, and he publicly never did. And for that, I will commend him.
Yeah.
He's just whiny, like the way he just scurries around with the football.
I hate him, but I feel like we need somebody to hate right now.
That's true.
We
Well,
need
it's like,
villains.
yeah.
Like I
agree.
I don't miss this. I hate that I even said that I miss this. But when Tom Brady was in his
Right.
heyday, it was nice to have someone, a big bad, to beat.
Yeah.
Right now, it's just like we hate the Eagles because their coach is a jerk, and we hate the Chiefs because Kermit and Kelsey are way too cool.
Yeah, I think mine is more so I want to see San Francisco with all that talent. And I'm going to be honest, with Mr. Teaspoon, Mr. Irrelevant, if he is able to get a Super Bowl being Mr. Irrelevant, like that's pretty damn cool. And so I just want the Niners to win.
It was funny when people were talking about Brock Purdy looking like Lee Harvey Oswald the other day.
Oh, God.
Two guys who certainly could not have done it alone in no way.
Oh, no.
Two guys with accuracy issues. And that's the show. Buck
People.
Rising is up next as we finish off Thursday morning. Check out the podcast if you missed any of our conversations this morning. Ramon Foster, send us on.
And I'll let you guys know if Bert is dancing to My Rich Baby Daddy by
Yes,
Drake and
retweet
Sexy
it.
Red. I cannot wait to catch him. But at all times, though, y'all got to remember, trust me on your bets, and your Twitter fingers and your mic is always hot. In the SEC,